It's the year 3077, and our crew has finally reached their destination. Looking down at the cracked, lifeless husk of a planet below, it's hard to believe this was once Earth. Even our leader, Seryung, has her doubts as she stares out the viewport. But once the coordinates are confirmed, there's no mistaking it, their target is definitely down there. Their red ship cuts through the void, descending toward the orange wasteland. Inside, Robert is busy yelling about stolen snacks, completely oblivious to the danger waiting for them. As they prep for landing, Robert freezes at the sensor readings. The place is radioactive and airless, hardly the spot you'd expect to find high-value fugitives. Seryung stays calm despite Robert's panic. This intel was swiped directly from the Beggars Guild, so she's certain it's legit, and turns to Sunja for the final data check. Sunja's analysis only chills the room. Oxygen is low and contamination is off the charts. It's a suicide mission for any human, making them wonder if their target is even real. They've come too far to turn back now. Seryung checks the gear. Even with top-tier radiation shielding, they only have a 6-hour window once they head underground. Seeing the look on Seryung's face, Robert tries one last time to talk sense into her. He's not keen on dying for a rumor, but our fiery leader has clearly made up her mind. They touch down at the ruins of Mount Tai, where a violent energy vortex rages. Standing before the ancient stone gate, Seryung preps the team to breach a site that's been sealed for millennia. The ship touches down at the ruins of Mount Tai, but the Holy Land is now nothing but a desolate wasteland. Seryung gazes out, confirming they've reached their destination. Staring at the metal scrap heap, Robert scoffs at the Martial Alliance. It seems these noble elders won't lift a finger to clean their sacred land unless there's profit involved. Although the surface looks empty, Seryung's intuition is certain. With a sharp gaze, she declares that the source of the signal is hidden directly beneath the ruins. Facing Robert's doubts, Seryung calmly stretches her limbs. Since she's confirmed something is alive down there, she's ready to meet this neighbor in the most direct way possible. As she activates her internal power unit, a brilliant green aura envelopes Seryung. Feeling the energy surge like a tide, she locks onto the pit and prepares to leap. The massive impact shatters the rocks, sending dust flying. Caught in the chaos, Robert dodges the debris and grumbles, wishing Seryung would give a warning before her grand entrances. A massive, bottomless pit now lies before them. Seryung contacts Sunja to confirm the vitals. The life signal is faint, but something ancient is definitely beginning to stir. While Robert is still debating whether to call for an electronic ladder, Seryung loses patience and dives headfirst into the abyss. Her freefall entry leaves Robert staring in total disbelief from the edge. Robert can only sigh at his captain's impulsive streak as she disappears into the dark. Meanwhile, Seryung fully embraces the thrill of the fall, landing gracefully at the bottom of the massive pit. Deep in the shadows of the pit, they stumble upon a majestic stone gate covered in ancient inscriptions. The text serves as a chilling warning. Anyone reckless enough to wake what lies within will be greeted by death first. Seryung isn't one for ancient history, so she calls in Sunja, their technical expert. After a quick scan, Sunja confirms it's a 2,000-year-old dialect that basically says, openness and you're dead. While Robert is sweating bullets over the curse, Seryung's logic is a bit different. To her, a threat this serious is just a fancy way of saying there's incredibly higher loot hidden behind that door. Driven by the promise of treasure, Seryung doesn't hesitate to reach out. Even as the air grows heavy with forbidden power, she remains determined to force open the long-sealed entrance. As the seal breaks, a grand stone hall is revealed. Right in the center sits a man with messy white hair, his back to the door, in a deep meditative state. Our boy has finally appeared, lost in a 2,000-year slumber. Seryung steps into the grand stone hall, and the sight before her is breathtaking. In the heart of these ancient ruins sits a man with long, ash-gray hair, his back to her in a deep, eerie state of meditation. Staring at this mysterious figure buried for 2 millennia, Seryung can't help but wonder there's no way he's still alive, right? Still, driven by instinct, she decides to get a closer look. The moment Seryung's fingertips brush those gray locks, something goes wrong. Purple lightning erupts instantly, sparking a powerful energy resonance between them that leaves her completely stunned. Amidst the crackling lightning, our boy, the 6th-generation heavenly demon, Lee Mokjin, is finally waking up after 2,000 years. As he slowly rises, a terrifying pressure floods the hall. The energy from his awakening forms a massive pillar of light, punching through the earth and into the stars. The impact is so immense that even Sunja, up on the orbital ship, watches in horror as the light pierces the dimensions. The massive energy surge fries the ship's comms instantly. Sunja frantically calls out for her team, but gets nothing but static, as the situation underground spirals completely out of control. Thrown back by the raw power, Seryung hits the wall, her helmet shattered. She's alive, but as a figure rises slowly through the settling dust, she is gripped by a fear unlike anything she's ever felt. As the smoke clears, Seryung is left reeling in the corner. Just as she struggles to catch her breath, our boy Lee Mokjin slowly rises, his overwhelming presence instantly filling the room. Facing the awakening of this 2,000-year-old legend, Seryung instinctively asks who he is. But his only response is a low, ancient murmur, "Who dares to disturb my slumber?" Ignoring her confusion, our boy scans his surroundings with eyes like a predator. There's almost a hint of anticipation, as he wonders aloud if a martial artist finally exists, who can challenge him. The tension is suffocating as our boy looks down at the trembling Seryung, his voice cold and demanding. "Speak. Why did you wake me?" Seryung desperately tries to understand him, but as her translation system finally decodes the ancient tongue, the message is chilling. He intends to kill her simply for interrupting his rest. Pushed to the brink of terror, Seryung decides to go all out. She overloads her power unit and screams in desperation, unleashing a devastating, full-power strike. A massive explosion consumes everything, making the entire space tremble. Seryung holds her ground in the chaos, staring intently into the smoke, praying for a miracle. But reality is cruel. With her power unit failing and her breath ragged, the smoke clears to reveal our boy standing there completely unharmed, a sight that brings utter despair. On the desolate earth, the legend of 2 millennia finally awakens. Standing with his back to the crew, our boy's knee-length hair flutters in the wind, radiating an overwhelming aura. He instantly sees through Seryung's techniques, noting they are impure imitations of ancient arts. Mistaking Seryung for a lowly tomb raider, our boy is utterly incensed. Suddenly, terrifying purple energy erupts around him, swirling in a vortex beneath his bare feet. The sheer force of his presence leaves a guarded Seryung visibly shaken by the looming threat. "How dare a mere thief disturb my eternal slumber?" Our boy roars from the heart of the energy storm. With eyes glowing blood red and filled with lethal intent, he prepares a strike so powerful it threatens to vaporize everything in its path. But the glory is short-lived. Before he can even launch the attack, our boy suddenly tips over and faceplants into the dirt. This hilarious anticlimax leaves Seryung completely bewildered, staring at the legendary warrior who just inexplicably took a dive. The crew quickly gathers around to perform an emergency scan. Looking at the defenseless, curled-up figure of our boy, they initially fear radiation poisoning. However, the data shows his vitals are surprisingly stable, though something about his condition remains odd. Thanks to Sunja's high-tech diagnostic, the truth finally comes out. This ancient powerhouse simply fainted because he hasn't eaten in ages. His stomach battery is completely drained. A dead silence falls over the group as they process the absurdity of the situation. With no other choice, they haul the starving legend back to the ship. Robert is absolutely livid, screaming at Seryung for bringing a useless, radiant cockroach aboard, but she remains convinced that our boy is a priceless asset that will change their fortunes. The bounty hunter squad finally hauls our boy back to the ship. Looking at the silent, bundled-up mess, Robert snaps, calling him a worthless radiation cockroach. Seryung, however, sees things differently. She's convinced this man from 2 millennia ago is a goldmine, her eyes gleaming with the prospect of a massive payday. In the year 3077, the more ancient the martial arts, the higher the price. Even basic techniques are worth a fortune, let alone a grandmaster from 2 millennia ago. Seryung estimates he's at least S rank. As they dream of their upcoming riches, they overlook one terrifying possibility. What happens if he actually wakes up? Seryung boasts that the specialized silkworm thread used to wrap him can hold a spaceship together. But right then, a chilling rip echoes through the room. The restraints are torn apart like paper as our boy stands up, radiating a terrifying purple aura. His voice is cold and lethal, mistaking the hunters for lowly grave robbers. The team is paralyzed with fear. Facing this overwhelming pressure, Robert and Seryung break into a cold sweat, realizing they might be torn to shreds in seconds. But at the height of the tension, our terrifying Grandmaster takes a sudden turn. Spotting a tray of hot dogs, he devours them like a maniac, leaving the entire squad stunned. Our boy is absolutely devouring a mountain of sausages after his long slumber. Seeing him eat like a starving beast, Seryung remarks that processed meat is probably the best welcome-back gift for a legend. With a full stomach, it's finally time for some answers. As their massive red ship cruises through the stars, Young clarifies that they aren't mere grave robbers, but part of a much bigger operation. Staring out from the cabin, our boy finally grasps the heavy truth. 2,000 years have passed. Humans destroyed the world through endless conflict, and were forced to migrate into the vastness of space. Young explains that to prevent total annihilation, all weapons except martial arts are strictly banned. Our boy looks completely bewildered, as terms like nuclear weapons are entirely foreign to his ancient mind. When Young casually mentions it's now the year 1105 of the galactic calendar, our boy is stunned. The era he once knew has been reduced to a distant legend lost in the cosmic dust. The cultural shock triggers an explosion of raw power. Enraged, our boy erupts in purple energy, refusing to believe these third-rate grave robbers would dare try to deceive the great heavenly demon with such nonsense. Look closely, old man. That's the place where you used to live. Young points toward a desolate, glowing planet, her words hitting our boy like a physical blow as he stares at his former home. As he gazes at the silent planet, the fire in our boy's eyes fades into a hollow emptiness. Young gives him a gentle nudge, trying to anchor him to a reality that is as cruel as it is undeniable. Our boy is so out of touch that he didn't even know the earth is round, leaving Young totally speechless. Between his ignorance and his ancient fragrance, she's had enough and orders him to go get cleaned up immediately. Stepping into a high-tech bathroom, our guy finally washes away 2 millennia of grime. Looking at the mess of old clothes and hair, it's less of a shower and more like a deep cleaning restoration of a priceless relic. While Young and Robert worry if a mummy will walk out, our boy emerges clad only in a towel. Freshly scrubbed and sharp-eyed, his raw presence and toned physique immediately change the entire vibe of the ship's corridor. But the cool act doesn't last long. His first question is whether there's any more of that hot dog left. Seeing the handsome legend standing there, Young finds herself momentarily dazed, her heart skipping a beat. Gazing at the vast starscape, our boy reflects on how small his world used to be compared to this strange, infinite galaxy. Deep within his eyes, a hint of ancient power flickers, reminding everyone of the monster he truly is. Shaking off her daze, Young tries to gauge our guy's actual age, hibernation years excluded. He might look like a heartthrob now, but the crew is starting to realize that this ancient is anything but normal. Our journey brings us to the Asteroid Space Tavern, also known as the Mars Pub, a multi-layered hub perched on a cratered rock for the galaxy's most notorious figures. Inside the bustling tavern, while others scheme, our boy is busy at a food stall, focused entirely on devouring a massive pyramid of hot dogs. The crew watches in pure disbelief. Having been sealed away for 2,000 years, our guy seems determined to make up for every missed meal in a single sitting. While our boy eats his fill, Young meets with the broker on the 18th. She cuts straight to the chase, claiming she has something incredibly valuable and needs a high-end buyer. When Young reveals she has original S-rank martial arts manuscripts from 2 millennia ago, even the seasoned broker is momentarily stunned by the sheer scale of the claim. However, Wong quickly regains his cool, valuing the scrolls at 0 credits. He's convinced that a mid-tier hunter like Young couldn't possibly possess such legendary artifacts. Dismissing her claim as total nonsense, Wong treats Young like a common fraud. Insulted and frustrated, Young has no choice but to head back to the group. Returning in a bad mood, Young finds herself stunned once again. Our boy has actually finished that mountain of food. Is his stomach a literal black hole? A crisis seems to have just subsided. Young, though exhausted, luckily managed to stop her injuries from worsening. The silver-haired man beside her remained tense, clearly still rattled by the unexpected turn of events. The restaurant on Tortuga was supposed to be a place to relax, but the atmosphere has turned ice-cold, and even the nearby diners can feel the tension rising. Before our boy can even enjoy a quiet moment, trouble finds him. An armed enforcer activates a scanner, trying to gauge the strength of this mysterious ancient warrior. The enforcer clearly underestimates our guy's terrifying power, acting all superior and ordering him to surrender to the Martial Alliance if he wants to avoid a beating. Instead of fighting back, our boy does the unthinkable. He reaches out and starts patting the guy's head with a proud, elder-like look that catches everyone off guard. He goes as far as pulling the guy into a big hug, lamenting how hard the youth must work these days. This sudden fatherly embrace leaves the tough guy completely bewildered. Watching our boy's bizarre behavior, his teammates are breaking a sweat, desperately trying to explain that he's just a bit socially challenged. In an instant, the warmth vanishes. Our boy's eyes turn bone-chillingly cold as he whispers a warning. If he felt even a trace of martial arts on the guy, he'd already be in pieces. The sheer humiliation and lethal pressure finally snapped the enemy's resolve. Roaring in rage, he forces his energy system to the limit, activating the Blood Wolf demonic art at max power. As the system blares at max level, a surge of violent dark energy sweeps through the room, signaling that the real fight is only just beginning. As the standoff continues, the purple-skinned leader in the center falls into excruciating pain, clutching his head and roaring uncontrollably. The violent energy shockwave shatters the surrounding tables and chairs in an instant. Behind him, the mysterious hooded figure, the purple-skinned warrior, and the silver-haired woman watch coldly. In front of him, the three visitors, the gray-haired man with sunglasses, the woman in red, and the hooded youth observe him calmly. One of the leader's subordinates is stunned into silence by his superior's breakdown. From the opposing side, the gray-haired man speaks up with provocative coolness, essentially asking if the leader isn't at his best. The gray-haired man's companion, the silent, black-haired youth, produces bizarre readings on the leader's scanner: gender unconfirmed, internal energy 0, his martial arts an unregistered enigma. The scan reveals an astonishing truth: this person's internal energy is completely out of sync with his life force, and his martial arts remain at the most basic level. The black-haired youth turns his back, coolly pointing out the fatal flaw in the opponent's cultivation method. These words enrage the leader completely. He flares his cape, declaring that meeting him today is the chance of a lifetime, and that he intends to correct this youth personally. In a flash, the leader ignites with flame and lunges forward like a streak of light, unleashing his secret technique: Bloodthirsty Wolf Demon Art Red Wolf's Claw. Fiery red wolf energy claws erupt alongside a massive explosion, instantly filling the entire hall. The violent shockwave blasts several unprepared bystanders off their feet. However, as the smoke and energy torrent from the explosion begin to clear, the attacking leader freezes in place, stunned. He realizes, to his horror, that his mountain-shattering red wolf claw was effortlessly blocked by the youth's single, outstretched hand. Gazing at the completely unharmed youth before him, the leader's power boils uncontrollably, even the dragon patterns on his body glowing with light. Only one thought, both shocking and furious, remains in his mind: what kind of monster is this? The battle ends as quickly as it began. Our boy unleashes a surge of purple energy, slamming his arrogant opponent into the rubble with overwhelming force. The crowd is left speechless. From hardened thugs to elite guards, everyone is paralyzed by the sheer power of martial arts that defies modern logic. Looking down at his defeated foe, our boy offers a stern lesson: martial arts aren't about mindless imitation. You have to adapt and make the technique your own. Refusing to accept humiliation, the enemy commander roars in fury, ordering his subordinates to swarm our boy and make him pay for his arrogance. For masked assassins strike at once, their glowing energy blades carving deadly arcs through the air. Even surrounded, our boy stands at the center, calm as a mountain. Panning out into space, we see the chaos unfolding within the District 32 space station of the Celestial Demon Sect. Inside this massive fortress, a new conspiracy is brewing. With the fight paused, the wounded are rushed to mechanical medical bays for repair. A heavy silence fills the hall as everyone awaits the commander's judgment. Commander John Ritak finally steps forward. Surveying the wreckage, he seems less concerned with his men's defeat and more fascinated by our boy's incredible power. Staring at the mysterious stranger on the monitor, the commander is consumed by doubt. Who is this kid, and how can an unknown fighter take down an entire elite squad? While our boy and his crew traverse the stars, the enemy is already closing in. A mysterious leader investigates their background, only to find that the man who crushed the Red Wolves has no official records. Although our boy's past remains a mystery, his companion Sir Young is well known. By tracking the S-Devil's digital footprint, the enemy has already pinpointed their location and begun their pursuit. Declining the offer to send a standard pursuit team, the mastermind decides to handle things personally. It seems our boy's overwhelming power has finally caught the attention of the faction's top brass. As orders are dispatched, the mysterious Greenwood faction is mobilized. After contacting Commander John Ritak, a lethal plan to intercept our boy has officially been set into motion. Back on the ship, the atmosphere is strangely tense. Our boy sits with a deadly serious expression, clutching his utensils over an empty plate, a bizarre aura that has his teammates feeling completely on edge. Watching our boy's intense focus on his meal, Sir Young and Robert can't help but feel nervous. Even though he's just hungry, the sheer pressure from this ancient legend makes them feel genuinely intimidated. In a dimly lit room, a black-haired woman in red tight clothing crosses her arms and impatiently questioned her companion. "What are you talking about?" Her companion, a silver-haired man with blue sunglasses, didn't answer directly. Instead, he lowered his voice and brought up something that had left a deep impression on them both. "You saw it too, didn't you? Sanjin and the Red Wolf platoon." Clearly, he was referring to how those A-rank martial artists, formidable in their eyes, had been effortlessly slapped aside by a mysterious figure, a scene that left them both shocked and at a loss. The silver-haired man tried to salvage some pride, claiming that if he fought for his life, he might also be able to defeat the lowest-tier A-ranks. But before he could finish, the woman in red cut him off abruptly. The woman in red was clearly deeply intrigued by the person who could casually sweat A-ranks aside. She strode forward and pinned a young black-haired man, who was about to eat, against the table with an intimidating stance. Ignoring his weak protest of, "Food first," she demanded he talk immediately. However, the pinned man remained surprisingly calm. He repeated in a steady, unwavering tone, "Food first." Irritated by his attitude, the woman in red finally contained her temper. Crossing her arms again, she asked in an interrogative tone, "You? What's your name?" Behind her, the silver-haired companion cautiously approached and whispered a reminder that it might be better to start the conversation with a more respectful term, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. Meanwhile, another companion arrived at the table carrying a huge tray of food. Under everyone's gaze, the black-haired young man who was firmly pressed against the table finally stated his name calmly. "Lee Mokjin." With his name obtained, the woman in red was not satisfied. Her gaze sharpened as she pressed on with the next question. "What's your identity? Like, your past profession?" Right in front of our boy, a mysterious voice suddenly called out his title, Heavenly Demon. Then, another exclaimed Supreme Heavenly Demon, leaving Seryung puzzled and unsure what they were trying to convey. Seryung was utterly confused by the strange and exaggerated title, even wondering if our boy had eaten a bad hot dog, prompting such a ridiculous utterance. Before they could even sort things out, the alarm blared. Sunja urgently reported from the cockpit that an unknown target was approaching, and it was very close. Seryung immediately flared up, assuming it was the Heavenly Demon sect again. After all, our boy had just dealt with the Red Wolf platoon, so they wouldn't let it go. But just as Seryung furiously prepared to retaliate, Sunja realized something was wrong. After cross-referencing data, she confirmed that these attackers were not from the Heavenly Demon sect. Meanwhile, in space, a massive ship emblazoned with a skull hovered. A bald man, his back to the window, coldly confirmed, as Devil's ship confirmed. There are bounty targets. Next, a man with a tablet and a pirate hat division leader Kim Sungbom from the Galaxy Division of the Crescent Moon 72 Strongholds of Greenwood Black Tiger consulted the bald man about firing EMP capture rounds. The bald man pondered, "You said they're bounty hunters, right?" Kim Sungbom affirmed, stating their intel showed S-Devils mainly operating on the galaxy's outskirts, led by Blazing Devil Seryung. Hearing this, the bald man frowned, looking ahead with doubt. Why would the Heavenly Demon sect bother with such a small group? He seemed perplexed by a deeper reason. Beside him, a holographic projection revealed the image of Heavenly Demon sect Commander John Rittak. A cold voice from the screen issues a ruthless command. There's no need for prisoners, just erase them from existence. In this lawless sector, lives are nothing more than digital noise. Kim Sungbom stares at his tablet, sensing something off about the job. The clients are far better at killing than his own crew, so why outsource the task? There's definitely a hidden agenda here. Meanwhile, the deep space outside is swarmed by a massive fleet. Watching the horizon, the crew hasn't yet grasped the gravity of the situation, jokingly assuming it's just some petty bandits looking for a score. Despite the enemy's numbers, the girl in red is already rolling up her sleeves, ready to fight these space bandits. However, the blonde technician brings back news that's about to dampen everyone's spirits. It turns out this isn't some small gang. It's the entire Galaxy Division of Greenwood, with the legendary Black Tiger Kim Sungbom leading the charge. Hearing the name, one of the guys actually thinks it sounds pretty cool. Realizing the crew is being delusional, the girl in red delivers a reality check. If they fight, they won't last 3 moves. The priority isn't being a hero, it's staying alive. To survive, she orders a policy of total compliance. Whether it's taking an EMP blast or letting them board and search, they'll endure anything. It's not really cooperation, it's a textbook surrender. Facing a sudden interception, Seryung stays calm while reassuring a panicked Robert. She assumes the enemy will only use an EMP, as space regulations usually prevent direct lethal force. However, reality is far more brutal. Sunja realizes with horror that the enemy isn't following protocol. They've locked on with a massive photon cannon, clearly intending to leave no survivors. The enemy commander is a ruthless strategist. To avoid any future complications, he decides to blow our team to dust and shift the entire blame onto the heavenly demon sect. Chaos erupts as warp drive fails, and the enemy closes in. To make matters worse, the shields are down because the crew previously sold the parts just to cover their daily expenses. With a cold command to fire, the photon cannon reaches full charge. A deathly glow fills everyone's vision, making any attempt at struggle seem futile against such overwhelming power. A brilliant beam of energy pierces the dark void. In a massive explosion, the ship carrying our boy is swallowed by blinding light, leaving their ultimate fate hanging by a thread. Watching the distant flames fade, the commander remains completely indifferent. To him, destroying the team was nothing more than sweeping away a few insignificant specks of space dust. As the story begins, a commander appears calm, eyes slightly closed, seemingly awaiting or contemplating something important. Outside, however, chaos reigned. A vehicle was engulfed in fierce explosions, a mysterious device whirred, and a shadowy humanoid silhouette could be vaguely seen amidst the conflict, signaling an extraordinary battle. Amidst this fierce battle, a silver-haired woman stood calmly on a platform, weapon in hand, her back to the flames. Her mere presence exuded a powerful, awe-inspiring aura. Witnessing this terrifying scene, some huddled together in fear, while the bald commander gravely whispered her identity as the 8-foot fighting ghost. Immediately after, someone seemed to recognize her, calling out her name with a tremor. Elena! Meanwhile, several team members stood side by side, their expressions tense, hands raised as if in caution or preparing for an unforeseen change. It turns out this powerful individual, Elena, stood alone on the platform, backed to numerous enemy ships emblazoned with skull emblems, radiating an imposing aura. A vehicle approached her from a distance. The bald commander was lost in thought again, while his companion puzzlingly asked, "Why is she here?" Someone suggested recharging the photon cannon to penetrate the terraformation-grade shield, but the commander seemed hesitant to start an interstellar war over a cockroach. Ultimately, he decided to use teleportation instead. Meanwhile, another squad was also discussing the arrival of this monster. They knew Elena, the 8-foot fighting ghost, was an S-class bounty hunter feared even by sect leaders. What puzzled them most was why she had saved them. After a narrow escape from a photon cannon, a man named Kim Sungbom appears via hologram. He casually greets Elena as his sister, acting as if they're old friends catching up. Elena isn't interested in a family reunion. Under her icy gaze, she shuts down the self-proclaimed brother with a blunt "get lost," leaving him visibly stunned. Dropping the act, Sungbom reveals his title as a leader of the 72 strongholds of Greenwood. He warns her that rejecting him is a direct insult to his entire organization. Sensing the rising killing intent, the observers quickly back away. They know Elena's fearsome reputation as the descendant of the mother lioness. She isn't someone to mess with. As Elena unleashes a terrifying surge of energy, Sungbom instantly raises his hands in surrender. He admits that this job isn't worth dying for and suggests a peaceful resolution. Sungbom tries to negotiate, even offering to step aside if their targets overlap. In the world of outlaws, survival is always the priority over pride. Elena has zero patience for his deals and delivers one final warning. Faced with such overwhelming power, Sungbom can only sigh in resignation and prepare to retreat. Cornered by a formidable intruder, the team is pushed into a dead end. The silver-armored woman brandishes her blade, coldly demanding they hand it over or face death. Confused and panicked, the crew can't figure out the motive. They have nothing valuable enough to attract an S-rank hunter, leaving them wondering if they're being robbed. While the others jokingly suspect our boy's past romantic drama, he remains serious. He senses that the current situation isn't as simple as a regular bounty hunt. Looking at his stunned companions, our guy calmly concludes that the hunter isn't after him, but rather the mysterious child hidden among them. To clear the air, our boy calls out into the shadows to reassure the child. Suddenly, a strange surge of energy begins to manifest throughout the corridor. Amidst the rising purple light, a mysterious girl in a baseball cap finally appears. Though surrounded, her calm expression signals an unexpected turn in the confrontation. Our boy noticed someone following them from the inn, impressed by their advanced stealth techniques. Seryung, however, is far from calm, demanding answers as she realizes a stranger has slipped past their guard. Facing Seryong's aggressive questioning, the mysterious girl in the baseball cap finally speaks up, identifying herself as Hua Rin. Despite her calm demeanor, her reasons for sneaking aboard remain unclear. Before they can dig deeper, a fleet of warships appears outside the viewport. Seryong immediately senses trouble, questioning if these hostile forces are targeting the mysterious girl they just found. The moment he hears the name Hua Rin, Robert loses his cool, shouting in excitement. It turns out their stowaway is actually the lead vocalist of the galaxy's most popular rookie idol duo. Seryong watches in confusion as Robert recites idol facts like a hardcore fan. It's hard to believe this legendary star, who hails from Manhwa, is currently hiding out on their very own ship. The mood shifts instantly as the pursuers issue a final ultimatum via hologram. They demand the girl be handed over within 10 minutes, or everyone on the ship will face total destruction. While Robert frets over his idol's safety, the situation has reached a breaking point. With the enemy closing in, our boy and the bounty hunter crew face a desperate choice. Tension rises on the ship as the captain delivers a cold ultimatum to her uninvited guests, making it clear they have no business staying and need to leave immediately. Ignoring her crew's shock, the captain stands firm. As commander, she makes the final call to leave, refusing to entertain any further arguments about the situation. The crew whispers in concern, knowing they are severely outmatched. They simply don't have the strength to hold their ground against Greenwood, let alone the terrifying demon Elena. Despite her internal conflict, the captain prioritizes the ship's survival and unlocks the gate. Amidst flashing alarms, the heavy metal doors slide open to the corridor. Seryong remains remarkably calm, offering a reassuring pat on our boy's shoulder. In this moment of uncertainty, she is the only one who seems to have absolute faith in his power. Before anyone can react, our boy has already slipped into the airlock. The crew is left speechless and terrified, wondering how he even managed to enter the restricted zone unnoticed. Chaos erupts inside the ship. While some scream in panic to shut the gate, others suggest watching to see if this mysterious man can actually survive and perform a miracle out there. In a jaw-dropping move, our boy steps right out into the freezing vacuum of space. As the crew desperately tries to pull him back, Sunja realizes that the gate is already beyond control. Looking out the porthole, the crew is absolutely losing it. She can't help but call him a total nutcase. Just what did she see to make her this horrified? Outside the hatch, our boy is floating in the void with Seryong as if it's no big deal. Seryong is busy warning him to stay sharp against their powerful enemies. But then Seryong realizes the most insane detail. Our boy didn't even turn on a protective shield. He's facing the vacuum of space with his bare body. The negative 300-degree chill hits instantly. Even with his godlike powers, our boy's organs are at their limit, leaving the crew inside in a total panic. The experts below are just as stunned. Who would jump ship without a shield? In this environment, a normal person would burst within 10 seconds. In this critical moment, our boy struggles in agony, his eyes bloodshot from the pressure. How will the ancient heavenly demon survive this impossible crisis? As he grows weaker in the void, Seryong rushes to his side. Is this epic entrance about to turn into our boy's final curtain call? As the nano shield activates, a red hexagonal grid pulses across the surface, providing a desperate layer of protection against the harsh vacuum of space. The crew rushes in, desperate to see if our boy is still breathing. While they're frantic with worry, his calm, wide-eyed stare suggests he's far more composed than anyone expected. Seryong tries to hide her relief behind a string of insults, but our guy isn't bothered. He coolly reminds her that as a supreme being, a little void can't end his legend. They finally regroup on a massive floating platform. It's a temporary sanctuary, especially considering that even the most elite warriors usually can't survive more than a minute without a shield. The diagnostic data reveals the impossible. Our boy survived for over 6 minutes in the void. Not only is he unharmed, but he has completely shattered the known biological limits of mankind. Before they can catch their breath, a group of powerful figures emerges. The air thickens with tension as elite warriors, like Kim Sungbom, fix their gaze on the newcomers. Never one to back down, Seryong steps forward to meet their gaze. She boldly announces her identity as the leader of the S-Devils, the infamous flaming demon. The others respond with cold, calculating stares. In the midst of this silent standoff, a subtle gesture hints that the negotiations ahead will be anything but friendly. Sensing his companion's anxiety, our boy stays cool and offers some reassurance. However, she remains skeptical and shaken, convinced that the woman they're up against is anything but human. Legends say this opponent is a literal fighting spirit who travels the stars seeking combat. Seeing her absolute focus, even our boy admits she's an extraordinary talent who's given her soul to the blade. While Seryum claims she wants to talk things out, she's already braced for impact. The enemy isn't interested in chatting either, diving from the sky like a bolt of blue lightning with her spear leveled. A massive explosion rocks the platform as energy erupts on impact. Narrowly avoiding the blast, Seryum loses her temper, screaming at the attacker for swinging a weapon without saying a single word. Watching from the sidelines, the masked man notes that the strike wasn't even at full power. Without missing a beat, the silver-haired warrior repositions and dives again, like an arrow piercing the void. As the relentless assault continues, our boy's eyes flare a deadly red. He knows this opponent is like a mad scorpion. The more she's provoked, the more lethal she becomes. The real trial has only just begun. Facing a massive surge of energy, our boy remains completely unfazed, calmly telling his companion that this grand display is nothing more than a flashy but hollow firework. Clearly provoked, the purple-haired warrior dives like a falling star, her spear unleashing a violent burst of purple energy that shatters the surrounding ground. Amidst the chaotic aftermath, our boy stands firm while protecting the others. His unwavering composure puts immense pressure on the bald commander watching from the shadows. Strangely, the enemy's scanners find no data on our boy at all, even suggesting he has zero internal energy, as if he were just an ordinary person. Growing impatient with the persistent interference, our boy tries to wave them away, but a sudden, massive explosion instantly turns the tension icy cold. In the blink of an eye during the surprise attack, our boy does the unthinkable, catching the lethal spear mid-thrust with nothing but his bare hand. Seeing our boy stop a lethal blow with no internal energy, the enemy is completely stunned. Is this logic-defying strength the true power of an ancient legend? As the battle intensifies, our boy notices the girl blending sword techniques into her spear play. Her internal energy is shockingly advanced and pure for her age. As her power surges, she even switches to Wudong's divine arts. Our boy looks on in surprise, realizing she possesses a rare and versatile martial heritage. While Robert is absolutely floored by her power, our boy remains composed. He clenches his fist and coolly asks if this is truly the extent of her strength. The girl unleashes a devastating burst of purple energy, putting everything into this strike. But suddenly, an ominous warning alarm pierces through the chaotic energy. The alarm triggers a vivid memory of her mother. When she gave her the ring, she set a strict rule: if it ever sounds, the opponent is unbeatable. Her mother allowed her to roam the world but forbade her from seeking death. Only the legendary few at the peak of martial arts could trigger this ring. Now, the frantic flashing of the ring is a cruel reminder. Our boy is the exact nightmare her mother warned her about, the one she must flee from. Staring into our boy's unfathomable eyes, she finally realizes the vast gap between them. If she doesn't retreat now, only total destruction awaits her. In a mysterious, dim void, a robed figure addresses those sharing his blood as brothers. Amidst the heavy atmosphere, he suddenly asks for a name, as if awakening a long-buried memory. Suddenly, the energy readings skyrocket, surging past the 120% limit. This unexpected burst leaves our boy visibly stunned, as he is instantly engulfed in dense blue mist and blinding light. As phantoms of various masters flicker by, a gold-armored warrior charges up, her spear erupting in a blinding radiance. Witnessing this transcendental awakening, our boy admits her talent is truly extraordinary. As eras passed, ancient martial arts evolved into these flashy, futuristic forms. A maze-storm sword technique turns into a torrent of light, launching a relentless assault against our boy under the starry sky. Kunlun's sun and moon twin spheres, Ginsong's piercing spear, these once simple moves are now dazzling spectacles. Facing this cinematic siege, our boy struggles but manages to hold his ground amidst the chaos. Soon, even the beggar sex dog beating staff and the esoteric sex red needles join the fray. This blinding medley of techniques leaves our boy sweating under the golden glare, struggling to keep up his defense. Enough, our boy roars, unleashing his internal energy in a powerful counterattack. With a deafening boom that rocks the facility, a massive explosion erupts atop the dome as the golden energy spirals out of control. As silence returns, our boy stands amidst the ruins, his back to the camera. He gazes up at the sunlight piercing through the heavy clouds, looking solitary yet imposing, as if reflecting on this 3 millennium martial farce. The atmosphere thickens as everyone watches the sky with bated breath. In this suffocating tension, it's clear that something massive and unstoppable is about to descend upon them. Suddenly, A girl in blue mechanical armor appears against the starry backdrop. Wielding golden swords with 8 mechanical arms, she looks like a goddess of judgment radiating incredible energy. She dives down with world-shattering force, aiming straight for our boy below. The sharp light from her blades tears through the air, making even the distant stars pale in comparison. Faced with this rampaging girl, our guy acknowledges her talent but warns that she's crossing the line. He urges her to stop before things reach a point of no return. Her awakening is spinning out of control and consuming her from within. Realizing the danger as she builds up energy, our boy knows he might have no choice but to use lethal force. To protect his companions, our boy stops hesitating. Amidst a blinding light, he vows to save her and prepares to unleash his ultimate trump card, the Heart Sword. A massive symbol of life and death hangs in the air, signaling the final stage of the duel. Our boy roars as he lunges forward, determined to end the chaos with one strike. Under the shocked gaze of the onlookers, two terrifying forces collide. A violent explosion instantly consumes the platform, sending debris flying across space in a flash of light. As the light fades, silence returns to the void. However, in the dark corners of space, new players have noticed the commotion, and a far bigger storm is already brewing. It was a heart-stopping escape. If the teleportation had been just a millisecond slower, they'd be toast. Looking at the battered crew, the tension in the air is thick enough to cut. Shockwaves from the explosion still ripple through the void, scattering debris everywhere. The crew can't help but scream in rage. That reckless move nearly sent them all to their graves. Our boy didn't walk away unscathed, with blood trickling down his neck from the intense struggle. For the first time, he looks truly grim, feeling a pressure unlike anything he's faced before. He mutters how the enemy's power exceeded his expectations. Just then, a divine golden light erupts in the void, and a mysterious figure begins to emerge within the radiance like a miracle. Everyone stares at the figure drifting in the halo, assuming she was finished. But our boy notices something off. She isn't dead, but rather suspended in a strange, ethereal state of life. It turns out a much greater force intervened to protect her at the last second. Not only did it save her life, but it kept her in a sacred, untouchable state amidst the floating wreckage. The scene leaves everyone paralyzed with shock. The legendary West Heaven Sword Mother has truly arrived. As the massive carrier beams down its light, the real galactic storm is just beginning. Under the silent starlight, our boy gazes ahead. Behind this apparent calm lies a mysterious pulse of life within a high-tech laboratory tank. Inside a massive transparent container, a girl curls up in a green glow as if in deep sleep. The arrival of a silver-haired woman fills the air with a heavy, solemn pressure. In the courtyard, a once arrogant subordinate now kneels bleeding, desperately begging for forgiveness before the prestigious Sword Mother, drenched in cold sweat. Dismissing her kneeling subordinate with a cold word, the silver-haired woman turns to our boy and introduces herself as the legendary matriarch of the Western Heaven Sword. Seeing this top-tier powerhouse acting so humble, and even bowing to our boy, the companions' jaws drop. They can't believe he's receiving such extraordinary respect. Unfazed by titles, our boy asks if the girl in the tank is her daughter. To his surprise, she offers to cut off her own arm as an apology for her earlier interference. The companions are frantic, fearing our boy's casual tone will provoke this goddess of death, who is rumored to be able to tear a man apart with a single look. As the truth surfaces, the plan behind this mysterious machinery begins to unfold. Meanwhile, a massive starship cuts through the void toward the unknown abyss. After tracking our boy's path, the silver-haired woman recognizes Asura demon heart sword. She begins to wonder if he has a secret connection to the legendary heavenly demon cult. Facing her direct questions, our boy remains remarkably composed. To him, time has a way of eroding even the strongest bonds, and the world he once knew has long since moved on. The onlookers are stunned to find that our boy's internal energy is entirely natural. His perfectly refined martial arts, free of any artificial tech, belong to a legendary era long past. Seeing our boy's youthful appearance, the woman wonders if he's achieved true rejuvenation. Drawn to his immense presence, she finally asks for a duel to test his legendary strength. Our boy easily sees through her polite exterior to the killing intent beneath. He knows that at their level, a real fight means death or crippling injury, and he isn't looking for that today. As her energy surges, the atmosphere turns heavy with tension. Yet, our boy remains unfazed, simply asking if there's truly a valid reason for them to risk everything in a pointless battle. Choosing to save the fight for another day, our boy decides to walk away. For now, he's more interested in exploring this strange new era than settling old scores with his fists. In the vastness of space, fleets from various factions are gathering. Amidst this cold steel, a conspiracy against our boy is quietly beginning to take shape. A mysterious white-haired woman is baffled. The heavenly demon sect has actually ordered our boy to be silenced, despite him possessing their supreme martial arts. News of the Red Wolf platoon's total annihilation adds to the tension. The woman decides to send a tracker to watch our boy's every move from the shadows. The task falls to Greenwood, an organization priding itself as the best trackers. Their order is clear: report everything, but do not interfere with the target. The woman warns her subordinate not to let her son get hurt. Behind this strange concern, the net is already being cast around our boy. Back with the crew, Sarah Young is absolutely fuming. She demands to know how our boy managed to offend heavyweights like Greenwood and the matron of the sword all at once. The atmosphere turns heavy as the girl in the baseball cap shares her story. With a downcast gaze and a voice full of regret, it seems as if her entire world has been turned upside down. She recounts returning home after her tour, only to be met with violence instead of warmth. The very people she once knew were trying to kill her, forcing her to flee for her life. As the group struggles to process the story, the mention of Planet Manhwa sends Robert into a rage. He slams his fist into the floor, visibly shaken by the name of his own homeland. In a dimly lit lab glowing with an eerie green light, the air is thick with dread. Looking at the figures trapped in containers, one can't help but feel that humanity has truly lost its way. Shifting back to reality, our boy and the crew arrive at the Mars pub. Here, personal tragedies take a backseat to business as a high-stakes deal involving 2,000-year-old martial arts manuals begins. Someone drops a bombshell. What if those S-rank originals are all real? The revelation hits like a truck, leaving the seasoned veteran trembling as the impossible truth finally sinks in. Under the starlit void, a massive surge of energy erupts. As a mysterious silhouette flickers within the blinding light, the raw, ancient martial pressure leaves even the strongest experts chilled to the bone. Staring at the panicked face on the monitor, the man remains eerily calm. He points out the familiar martial technique on screen, asking with a smirk if these ancient moves don't bring back some memories. The majestic Kim Yunhwa, the Sword Mother, steps forward to confront the mysterious figure. While the martial prowess displayed is unprecedented, she is more concerned by the unsettling sense of familiarity hidden within the strikes. Seeing the confusion on his face, Yunhwa realizes he's truly in the dark. Still, the heavenly demon sect officer remains defiant, warning her to stay out of their internal business as tensions reach a breaking point. Without a word, a cold flash of steel erupts as Yunhwa strikes without hesitation. Her blade pierces his neck in an instant. Gasping and clutching his wound, he stammers in disbelief, asking if she truly intends to declare war on the sect. Yunhwa responds with a disdainful smirk. For a martial fanatic like her, political consequences and threats of retaliation mean nothing compared to the thrill of witnessing ultimate martial arts. Her blade glows with a lethal crimson light, signaling the end of parley. Yunhwa delivers a chilling ultimatum: either give her the answer she seeks, or die right here with your secrets. Facing the current situation, a golden-haired man gravely states that even if all 1076 martial artists from District 32 united, they would stand little chance against the matron of the Western Heaven Sword. Meanwhile, a white-haired man slowly spreads his arms, his palms gathering fiery orbs of light, as if saying, if you intend to cut down all 1076, then you'd better hurry and begin. Bystanders buzz with disbelief, some exclaiming that this is the Asura demon heart sword technique, thought lost for millennia. Others can't believe it, as no one in their sect has ever practiced such a martial art. Faced with doubt, the white-haired man, wreathed in flames, coldly retorts, "It's not my problem if you don't recognize your own sect's martial arts." He then repeats his interrogation, clearly pressing for crucial information. After some exchange, the golden-haired man seems to suddenly grasp something, muttering, "It wasn't him." The black-haired woman beside him also realizes, "We were chasing that girl." Meanwhile, a red and black spacecraft arrives at Manhwa planet. From high above, the ancient-style city appears bustling and vibrant in the daylight. However, the golden-haired man with glasses notices a crucial detail, looking up to say, "I don't think so." All the shops are still open. This suggests Manhwa planet's anomaly is far more complex than it appears. The team witnesses a vast, traditionally styled city aglow with countless lanterns Hwa Mountain Star. Technician Sunja, however, reports something chilling. Despite appearances, there are absolutely no life signs. Upon hearing his homeland described as a dead city, our boy's companion, Rong Chi Shan from Hwa Mountain, loses control. His raw anguish and fury inside the protective bubble escalate to the point where his coughing nearly suffocates another crewmate. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, our boy calmly turns to Rong Chi-shan, pressing him for any information he might have, as something clearly went terribly wrong here. Amidst the heavy silence, Sunja makes a new discovery. Her equipment finally picks up a single, incredibly strong live signal emanating from the heart of Hua Mountain's headquarters, the Ja Pavilion, the leader's residence. Facing this crucial lead, the group arrives before a grand, imposing complex shrouded in eerie mist and smoke, steeling themselves to investigate further. Leading the way, Robert suddenly activates and dons his heavy combat armor suit. The unexpected deployment gives his teammates a momentary pause. Meanwhile, Rong Chi-shan is already consumed by rage at the sight of his homeland's ruin, swearing fierce vengeance against whoever is responsible. To his teammates' question, Robert simply states that his instincts as a former Special Forces soldier have kicked in, keeping him prepared for battle anytime. The team approaches the entrance to a dark, stone tunnel. Seryung confirms the life signal persists, even growing stronger, indicating they are closing in on the source of the mystery. Before the team can figure out what's happening, a terrifying non-human presence appears. They decide to launch a drone for reconnaissance to identify the threat. Suddenly, a massive beam of orange energy strikes from above, tearing through the ancient structures and leaving a trail of destruction and flames in its wake. The destruction reflected in their eyes says it all. Facing such overwhelming power, even these battle-hardened bounty hunters are left completely stunned. Everyone huddles together to survive this sudden bombardment. Amidst the smoke and fire, they struggle to process how an attack this brutal could happen so fast. Robert's heavy armor hits the ground hard after the blast. While our boy stays calm nearby, the rest of the crew is frantic, checking to see if their friend survived. Thankfully, Sunja's data confirms the armor saved Robert. He's silent not because he's gone, but likely because he's paralyzed by the sheer terror of that strike. But the danger is far from over. Before Robert can recover, an eerie purple lightning begins to gather overhead, signaling the arrival of yet another devastating strike. Amidst a haunting purple glow, a luminous flower blooms. Our boy gazes ahead as a mysterious figure, wreathed in crackling violet energy, stands at the center of the arena. Getting closer, we see the man at the eye of the storm. Despite his calm expression, violet flames erupt from his body, his overwhelming presence marking him as a legendary master. Seryung recognizes him as Yong Jiaxin, the leader of Manhwa. However, the plum blossoms surrounding him have turned a sinister purple, a clear sign that his cultivation has gone horribly wrong. Our boy instantly sees through the mystery. This man is trying to force a fusion of extreme yin and yang techniques. This clash of polar energies is pushing him toward the brink of total instability. Seeing her kin lost in madness, Seryung whispers in despair. But our boy senses the grim truth: the man is being consumed by his own power, losing every trace of his humanity. As the energy spirals out of control, violet light threatens to tear the arena apart. The obsession with reaching martial perfection has planted an inescapable demon in Yong Jiaxin's heart. Sensing the fatal shift in the air, our boy commands Seryung to flee immediately. This is no longer a normal duel. They are facing a mechanical sword demon ready to vanish everything. Facing the surging energy, our boy calmly warns that even he can't guarantee anyone's safety. Seryung screams in desperation, terrified of what's about to unfold. But it's too late as the blinding energy consumes everything. On the monitor, the countdown hits 17 hours 59 minutes and 58 seconds, leaving a mysterious figure sitting amidst the flames. As danger peaks, someone rushes toward our boy at the center of the blast. Meanwhile, the clock ticks down to the final second, and the world seems to tremble. As the light fades, our boy stands silently at the end of a grand hall, his commanding presence as strong as ever. Seryung watches, dazed by the sudden silence. Our boy catches the falling figure, and in his embrace, the chaos finally settles. Seryung realizes with shock that reality has miraculously returned to normal. As the clock strikes 1800 hours, the empty streets suddenly bustle with life. The vanished people reappear, as if the city had never faced a crisis at all. Watching the world return to its daily routine, our boy is deep in thought. The fact that everyone reappeared at once suggests a hidden truth only he understands. The storm has passed for now, and the team gathers at a market table to enjoy the peace. The crisis is over, but the mystery of the disappearances is only beginning. In the middle of this bustling night market, the team senses something is off. Despite the crowds, the scanners reported no one was here, a glitch that feels way too deliberate. As Sunja performs a deep scan, a chilling truth emerges. Everyone in the market, from adults to children, has had their internal energy completely drained. While the others are wary, a hungry Robert tries to break the eerie tension the only way he knows how, by loudly shouting for a waiter to take his order. But something strange happens. The waitress walks right past them with a hollow smile, completely ignoring their shouts, as if she's just a programmed puppet in a play. Robert is completely baffled. Watching her serve another table, while ignoring him entirely, makes his skin crawl. It's like they've become invisible to the rest of the world. Sunja's data confirms the impossible. The locals aren't just ignoring them, they literally cannot see them. It's as if they've stepped into a dimension severed from reality. While the weirdness gives Seryung the creeps, our boy remains unfazed. He seems to have already seen through the trick, calmly pouring himself a cup of tea in total silence. This man in traditional attire is calmly sipping tea, completely ignoring everyone around him. Even though our boy is right there, the man acts as if the guests simply don't exist. This isn't just rudeness, it's something far weirder. Like a clockwork doll, he mechanically follows the exact same routine every day, drinking tea and tending the garden as if on a loop. To test him, our boy tries touching his head and messing with the tea set, but there's zero reaction. It's as if he's living in an entirely separate dimension from everyone else. The piece shatters instantly as the man lashes out without warning. Sharp sword chi tears through the air, and a lethal threat swamped in crimson light arrives in a split second. Surrounded by a terrifying aura, the man's every strike carries enough power to pierce through space. Under this relentless assault, our boy is forced into a desperate, high-stakes struggle. Then, the two forces collide head-on, sending a massive hemispherical shockwave screaming through the area. The blast is so intense that the air itself seems to warp under the pressure. It's that feeling again. The man is radiating a paradoxical mix of extreme yin and yang energies. As purple flames erupt, our boy realizes this familiar anomaly means the real trouble is just beginning. The situation turns critical as the girl screams to return the teacup before things get out of hand. Nearby, the boy is paralyzed by the overwhelming energy radiating from our guy. Our boy is on the verge of losing control as a purple energy vortex swirls around him. This ancient pressure is too much for any mortal to handle, threatening to shatter everything. Stunned by this inhuman display of power, the girl manages to keep her head. In the middle of the chaos, she lunges forward to grab the metallic container, hoping to stop the madness. A massive shockwave sends the boy flying as blinding light and energy fragments fill the air. At the center of this destructive blast, that mysterious cylinder remains the focal point. Just as things reach a breaking point, our boy catches the teacup with ease. Even surrounded by terrifying purple flames, his absolute composure radiates the chilling aura of a true legend. In a sudden shift, the chaos vanishes like a dream. Our guy is back to his serene self, calmly pouring tea by the window as the sun sets over the futuristic cityscape. Watching this mysterious and dangerous man, the boy and girl are left in stunned silence. Who exactly is he? It's clear that this ancient legend has only just begun. With the interstellar tour wrapped up, the story returns to a brief moment of calm. It's been a long journey, but the storms of the black market are far from over. Our boy and the crew are walking through a busy street, but Robert senses something is off. He realizes the crowd around them is acting like clockwork dolls, mindlessly repeating the same motions over and over. Driven by suspicion, Robert reaches out to stop a passerby for questioning. He wants to know why everyone is acting so strange, but the moment he makes contact, an eerie feeling washes over him. Robert's expression shifts to shock as the bustling market suddenly falls deathly silent. Every person on the street stops moving at the exact same moment, creating a chilling atmosphere of total stillness. Before anyone can react, a strange flash occurs, and the entire crowd vanishes into thin air. Looking at the now empty street, Robert is stunned, wondering if they just witnessed a massive planetary teleportation. Sunja, the team's tech expert, immediately begins analyzing the data. With a grim look, she confirms that while it resembles teleportation, the sheer scale of the event is beyond anything she's ever seen. Sunja then delivers a conclusion that leaves everyone cold. It's not just this street, every life signal on the entire planet has vanished in an instant. It seems they are now truly alone on this silent world. Amidst the eerie death quiet, a girl in a black cap collapses in the shadows. She seems to know the horror that follows. Whenever people vanish like this, the truly terrifying things are about to emerge. With heavy footsteps echoing through the ancient streets, the team is met not by people, but by rows of silent, sword-wielding mechanical soldiers. Seeing the cold steel machines filling the entire district, the atmosphere grows heavy. Seryung can't help but wonder if they've just walked into a hornet's nest. Sunja calmly explains that these are actually outdated construction robots with low-level AI, typically used for simple manual labor like planetary development. Relieved they're just civilian models, Seryung relaxes. Robert cites the 3 laws of robotics to reassure her, though his grim look suggests otherwise. Despite it being weird for construction workers to carry swords, Seryung dismissively waves them off, telling them to stop crowding and scaring folks. Without warning, a massive force blasts Seryung back. Staring at the machines that just turned aggressive, she angrily demands to know if they've malfunctioned. Before they can even recover, countless mechanical soldiers leap into the air, surrounding them. It seems these relics have no intention of following any safety laws. A massive explosion tears through the traditional courtyard, lighting up the night. Watching from the shadows, a girl in a baseball cap notes that whenever people vanish, they always appear. Swarms of silver mechanical beings descend like cold-blooded killing machines. They strike at anything that breathes, turning the area into a frantic battlefield of steel and sparks. Standing at the end of the corridor, the girl looks out at the ruin and recalls her own narrow escape. She admits she wouldn't have survived the attack if her father hadn't risked everything. Deep within the somber hall, her father remains. Though everyone else has vanished, he stands his ground like a lonely fortress, shrouded in a burning aura of purple energy. Her father is pushing himself to the limit, burning his soul and internal energy to hold back the darkness. He's sacrificing everything to protect what remains in this haunted night. After hearing her story, our boy's expression turns serious. He gives her a reassuring pat on the cap and calmly steps forward, heading straight into the heart of the purple mist to settle the score. Though the path ahead is uncertain, our boy's confident stride offers a sense of hope. He moves toward the source of the power, ready to confront whatever is waiting in the depths. Surrounded by a sea of silver mechanical soldiers, Seryung and Robert stand their ground in the courtyard. What was once a peaceful setting has now turned into a deadly trap. Seryung can't hide her shock as the machines close in. She's baffled why on earth are these robots, programmed to serve, suddenly hunting humans? Even Sunja is at a loss, as her data confirms that harming humans is a direct violation of their core logic. Their systems must have been completely overwritten. A chilling thought crosses their minds. Maybe these things don't even recognize them as human, or perhaps they aren't conventional robots at all. Before they can piece it together, the mechanical horde lunges. With a fierce glare, Seryung dives into the fray, shouting for her team to stay sharp. The scene erupts into chaos as explosions and metal debris fill the air. The speed of these soldiers is terrifying, with every strike intended to kill. As the battle rages, Robert spots a strange white glow emanating from the enemies and realizes the truth. These aren't robots, they are iron Jianshi. A twisted fusion of machine and human flesh, these monstrosities have lost their will, serving only as cold-blooded killing machines. As the smoke clears, Seryung sits amidst the wreckage. But the tension returns instantly when a mysterious voice calls out her name from the shadows. From the shadows, a mysterious force monitors the team's every move. They've already identified Robert as a former Special Forces sergeant and arrogantly claim they could wipe the S-Devils out in mere seconds. However, Rachel seems intrigued by Robert's tactical background. As a subordinate asks for the elimination order, the masked mastermind falls into a chilling silence, leaving the team's fate hanging in the balance. Back on the battlefield, the clash has come to an abrupt end. Our boy stands amidst a sea of mechanical debris in the ancient courtyard, seemingly process the sudden conclusion of this high-tech skirmish. Unlike our boy's calm demeanor, Robert is absolutely hyped. Laughing heartily, he boasts about his well-maintained gear, thrilled that he finally got a chance to go all out in a real fight. Listening to Robert, Seryung feels a wave of relief that they didn't sell his gear for food money. However, Sunja drops a reality check. They didn't win. The enemy simply chose to retreat, saving them from certain doom. Picking up a severed mechanical limb, our boy is visibly confused. To an ancient legend like him, the concept of a droid is alien. He struggles to understand how this metal armor even works. Exhausted from the fight, Seryung doesn't have the energy to explain 3,000 years of tech to our boy, leaving the task to Sunja. For now, the weary team finally finds a moment of hard-earned peace. The conversation turns toward machines capable of thinking and acting like humans, a concept that leaves everyone in the room visibly stunned. In an instant, the scene turns to chaos. Mechanical wreckage litters the floor as terrified screams echo through the ruined building following a fierce struggle. the enemy system fails to identify our boy in its database. Even more shocking, he has no internal power drive, making him a pure natural powerhouse. The villains begin to strategize. While they dismiss some actions as foolish, they recognize Robert as a top-tier elite soldier and order strict vigilance. Suspecting a calculated move, the enemy orders a full investigation just as a glowing sphere streaks across space, closing in on the base at high speed. With a violent tremor, the spherical pod slams onto the landing pad. As the hatch opens, a robed figure emerges to the respectful bows of everyone present. The base commander bows deeply to welcome the high-ranking officer, showing absolute deference as the situation grows increasingly complicated. At the Heavenly Demon Sect's headquarters, First-Class Officer Cho Dayan appears with a massive spherical protector. Judging by the heavy gear, this assignment is proving to be a real headache. Cho Dayan is in visible agony, clutching his head as if it's about to explode. His colleagues watch closely, trying to decipher the nature of this strange spiritual backlash. Another powerful figure steps in to soothe the pain. Though the agony recedes, Dayan is still unnerved by the persistent, searing heat lingering deep within his mind. But then, things take a horrific turn. With a surge of energy, a deep blue substance is forcefully injected into his mind, and his agonizing screams echo through the facility. After the chaos, a strange palm print is left on Dayan's head. Investigators note that the old and new wounds differ significantly, leaving the experts puzzled by these inconsistent scars. Just as they debate the technique, the truth comes to light. These are the marks of the 9-in palm, a devastating martial art that our boy had already mastered back when he was only 7. Despite the growing shock around him, our boy stays calm, analyzing the technique's variations while eyeing his meal. To him, what they see as a dire threat is just basic martial arts. High-level martial arts are all about the details. The elder explains how the 9-in palm can reverse its freezing nature into searing heat, a feat that leaves everyone speechless. Reversing martial nature is like making fire from ice, theoretically possible, but incredibly rare. However, dinner comes first, and the elder suggests starting with some black bean noodles. Switching scenes, the team discusses the mysterious iron gangsher. According to Robert, it's a dark rumor about a new type of combat android being developed by the government. To bypass the laws of robotics, these madmen replace AI circuits with human brains. This twisted technology is the horrifying truth behind the Iron Gangsher legend. Seeing our boy's shock reaction, Sunja offers to dismantle her own limbs just to prove she's an android. It leaves him feeling like this era is completely bizarre. Though they've managed to share a meal, the idea of using human brains as processors haunts the group. Just how deep does this insane government conspiracy go? Faced with such an inhuman conspiracy, the team falls into a heavy silence. It seems the murky waters of this interstellar world are deeper than they ever imagined. Our boy looks completely lost, staring blankly at the table. Seo-young notices his strange expression and leans in with concern, asking if something happened to him or if he's feeling alright. It turns out the crisis is just a lack of food. Our boy stares at the empty tray in despair. Seo-young tells Sunja to grill more sausages, but is shocked to hear they've completely run out. With the food supply officially gone, a heavy silence falls over the group. Seo-young looks at their messy surroundings, realizing that they've landed themselves in a pretty tough spot. Suddenly, a surge of purple energy erupts from our boy. As a legendary powerhouse, he's deeply offended by this lack of hospitality, and his pure intimidation begins to fill the room. Shaken by the pressure, Seo-young finally snaps back to reality. She repeats his title, the Supreme Heavenly Demon, with a mix of excitement and fear, realizing the legend standing before her is very real. Realizing they need to act, Seo-young heads off to handle priorities with Robert and Sunja following behind. Meanwhile, our boy stays behind, staring at the empty tray in silent contemplation. Our boy pokes at the remaining sauce as his thoughts drift back to the battlefield. Seeing the scattered robotic debris in his mind, he knows a conflict spanning eras is far from over. As a transport ship glides over the ancient streets, Robert inspects the mechanical ruins. He complains about the poor quality of the alloy, noting that these machines are far too fragile for real combat. Amidst the smoking wreckage, our tech expert Sunja scans the remains. She discovers that these robots were powered by ancient MZ-07 chips hardware, so primitive it barely qualifies as advanced tech. Sunja explains that these chips lack any form of free will, designed only to execute external commands. This means the entire mechanical onslaught was being puppeteered from the shadows. Surveying the courtyard now carpeted in scrap metal, Sunja calmly drops a bombshell. Exactly 9,817 robots were deployed in that single relentless wave of attack. The logic is chilling. Deep within the facility's glowing blue pods, at least 9,817 humans are being used as biological processors, controlling the machines from a state of forced slumber. Seryung asks for the district's total population, only to hear the number 9,818. It's a horrifying realization. Every single resident except for one has been consumed by this inhuman project. As the group reels from the shock, the mastermind behind the scenes calmly finishes his meal and orders a total lockdown of District 32. The conspiracy is far deeper than they imagined. Deep in space, a massive spherical station glows with a chilling light. High Command has issued a lockdown, forbidding anyone from entering or leaving and ordered all deployed teams to return immediately. Inside the station, a pivotal conversation unfolds over a meal. In these trying times, they're less concerned with food and more with the shifting power. What happens when the mountain's ruling tiger finally falls? The wolves, once forced to pack together under the tiger's shadow, are now growing ambitious. No longer content with their lot, they aim to devour their own and seize the throne for themselves. Under watchful eyes, the sect's high-ranking members stand solemn. In the absence of the tiger, former allies become prey. In such times of upheaval, the strongest wolf is often the first to be targeted. With the martial world on thin ice, the sect must act with extreme caution. Suddenly, a shocking report arrives. An unidentified individual, mastered in their own sex arts, has surfaced, putting everyone on edge. Worst of all, this mystery man, our boy, is heading straight for Manhwa. The mere mention of the name sends a shiver through the room. That place is a powder keg, and he's the spark that could blow the whole world apart. As the heavy doors slide shut, the white-haired leader sinks into deep thought. Even a veteran like him finds this variable troublesome. He must grasp the full situation before making a move to avoid total collapse. As twilight blankets the ancient city, a mysterious pillar of purple energy erupts from the quiet streets. Seryung is questioning the rumors of missing people returning, only to learn a chilling truth. Everyone seems caught in a cycle, except for those left behind. At the heart of the energy, a man stands with eyes closed, lost in an unconscious ritual. Purple light fragments drift like petals, beautiful yet unsettling, blurring the line between a divine miracle and a high-tech curse. Our tech expert Sunja reveals the truth. On planet Hua, day and night flip every 6 hours. When Seryung asks how long until sunset, Sunja calmly drops a bombshell. 1 second. In that instant, the very atmosphere of the world shifts. It turns out the residents here are mindlessly repeating a single day of their lives. Whether drinking tea or reading, every detail is a precise reenactment. This programmed piece feels hollow, as if the entire planet is nothing more than a giant mechanical music box. The expected loop fails to trigger, leaving the streets eerily empty. From the rooftops, Robert sees no one, sparking a wave of anxiety in Seryung. Is the program malfunctioning, or is the true anomaly only just beginning to surface? Just then, Sunja makes a terrifying discovery. Instead of the residents appearing, our group is the one fading away. Enveloped in purple energy, the sensation of disappearing becomes lethally real, as an unknown law begins to erase them from existence. Faced with this incomprehensible phenomenon, even our seasoned heroes lose their cool. Staring at their dissolving hands, they realize they are no longer spectators on planet Hua. They've become the prey, and time is running out. The scene shifts to a mysterious hall bathed in an ominous purple glow. Urgent reports echo through the room. The captain's vitals are fading, signaling a crisis lurking in the shadows. Meanwhile, a starship marked with a skull emblem cuts through the deep void. A mysterious figure stands by the window, silently watching the cosmos as if planning something sinister. Monitoring stations pick up a sudden energy surge from Mount Hua. Analysis confirms the entity as Blazing Devil Seryung, who is currently being teleported straight toward the moon known as Jinta. On the desolate surface of Jinta, a massive black vortex swirls violently, acting as a chaotic gateway and the final destination for this high-speed teleportation. Caught in the eye of the storm, Seryung is absolutely terrified. Watching her body fade, she genuinely thinks she's kicked the bucket and turned into a ghost, screaming in pure desperation. Just as she's hysterically pleading for her life, her physical form suddenly snaps back into focus. Looking at her solid hands, she's completely stunned by this whiplash of a situation. Before she can process anything, the scenery shifts. At the end of a dimly lit corridor sits a mysterious figure on a leopard print cushion, waiting just for her. It looks like her troubles are far from over. Inside a dimly lit corridor, the atmosphere is heavy with tension. A subordinate reports a highly unusual teleportation signature that defies standard physics. Further investigation reveals the transfer was forced without the target's consent, a direct violation of galactic law known as unilateral teleportation. Despite the alarming report, the high-ranking official remains eerily calm, staring out at the stars while ordering his team to maintain strict surveillance. Looking at the drifting planets, he knows that anyone using forbidden tech on the moon has massive backing, and the stakes are higher than they seem. Peering through his glasses, he seems to be calculating his next move. In these turbulent times, any minor disturbance could trigger a galactic storm. Elsewhere, in a mysterious estate, a warrior kneels before her leader, recounting a shocking encounter at Manhwa with a man claiming to be her father. To her humiliation, she was utterly defeated in their duel. The sudden emergence of this mysterious powerhouse has completely derailed everyone's plans. While the plot thickens, a mysterious figure watches from across the stars. She's been tracking the man who defeated her daughter, and learning that he's now at Manhwa has clearly set a new storm in motion. Back with the crew, Robert is losing his cool. Consumed by worry for the missing Seryung, he's shouting that they need to save their captain immediately, his emotions reaching a total boiling point. Sunja is busy scanning for clues on the holographic interface. The team suspects Seryung's disappearance is linked to illegal teleportation on this planet, and though proof is scarce, the mood has turned incredibly grim. Overwhelmed by stress, Robert finally snaps and grabs a teammate by the collar. It's not entirely his fault. His military past left him with severe PTSD, making his anger nearly impossible to suppress when the pressure mounts. After the group intervenes, Robert finally calms down and lets go. Looking at his shaken teammates, he realizes he went too far and offers a low, heavy apology as the tension in the room hits rock bottom. With the conflict settled, the red ship streaks across the galaxy once more. Technical analysis suggests that interstellar teleportation has its limits, meaning Seryung is likely still within reach, but they need to move fast. With Manhwa ruled out as a literal ghost town, the crew is struggling to pinpoint their next move. They're stuck choosing between two moons, Jinta and Cyceris, with no clear lead. Facing a difficult choice, the team decides to follow the captain's golden intuition and head for Cyceris. At this point, a gut feeling is all they have to go on. The mention of Cyceris leaves Seryung looking stunned. Just then, a cold voice cuts through the air, revealing the true target is actually Jinta, Manhwa's second moon. Suddenly, Seryung finds herself being completely exposed. The mysterious figure's scans have identified everything, from her hidden soft sword to the massive energy drive she can't yet control. Realizing this stranger knows her secrets better than she does, Seryung is visibly shaken. Through the pain, she demands to know who this person is, and how they possess such terrifying knowledge. Meanwhile, in a far more peaceful setting, a disciple consults his master. It seems this sect has been monitoring the chaos at Manhwa all along and is already making their move. The master warns against acting too hastily. The events at Manhwa are deeply complicated, and he insists on a patient approach to ensure their long-term plans aren't ruined. Just like a bud that hasn't bloomed, the master explains they must wait for the forces backing our boy to fully reveal themselves before they can strike with absolute certainty. The sect's leader questions his subordinate's maturity before revealing a shocking discovery. An outsider has surfaced, one who can manipulate energy in ways thought lost to their order. The revelation leaves everyone stunned. This stranger isn't just using basic moves, he has mastered the Demon Heart Sura sword technique, a secret core art of their own sect. Realizing this master is an uncontrollable anomaly, the elder's calm vanishes. With a furious roar, he issues a direct execution order. This monster must be eliminated without fail. As the death sentence is sworn, the scene shifts to the silent void of space, where a mysterious sphere floats, signaling a storm brewing across the stars. Meanwhile, Seryung finds herself captured and restrained by cold mechanical shackles. As she tries to figure out her captor's identity, she's cornered by glowing-eyed robotic sentries. Seryung attempts a desperate counterattack, but a silver mechanical creature pins her down with impossible speed. Gasping in shock, she realizes these enemies are faster than anything she's ever faced. The creature's movements defy human reaction limits. As steel claws tighten around her, a terrified Seryung realizes she's not fighting a drone, but a true killing machine. To extract information, a silver-haired interrogator forces a bound woman in red to see the situation for what it is, declaring her resistance futile. However, the captive woman clearly has no intention of cooperating, snarling for him to shut up. This action triggers something, prompting the surrounding silver machines to immediately move in to subdue and attack her. Unexpectedly, the woman doesn't just take it. A violent surge of blue energy erupts from her, spinning like a cyclone to forcefully repel the attacking machines. She then launches an even fiercer counterattack. Light erupts from her arm as her body transforms into a whirling blade, directly slicing through and fragmenting the encroaching machines. Despite this fierce resistance, the silver-haired interrogator coolly declares it's pointless, as these combat robots possess data on all martial arts in the world. The woman seems to realize this truth, yet she doesn't stop. Confronting the next approaching machine, she crouches, dashes in, finds an opening, and unleashes a powerful strike. Finally, she leaps high, the lightsword coalescing in her hands poised to rend the very clouds. With her power focused to its peak, she takes aim at her enemy. Facing a formidable foe, her gaze is resolute. Even against a tough opponent, she refuses to back down. Seryung brandishes her glowing blue blade, charging towards the target at incredible speed, yet she seems to sense this encounter won't be easy. However, the silver mechanical creature is no ordinary opponent. It dives down with overwhelming force, sending Seryung flying and spinning uncontrollably through the air. Despite being on the defensive, Seryung refuses to yield. She fiercely counterattacks mid-flight, her blade tearing through the air to precisely strike the mechanical creature's head with a heavy impact. The immense power of both sides clashed violently in the air, the dazzling light almost consuming the entire space, with no clear victor yet. Regaining her stance, Seryung decisively activates her mechanical left arm. Golden energy gathers in her palm, forming a spiraling beam of light, ready to unleash. Yet, this immense energy wasn't for attacking the enemy. Instead, with a resolute intensity, it pierced directly through Seryung's abdomen, seemingly undergoing a painful and extreme self-enhancement. With a sharp crunch, the mysterious mechanical device is crushed to pieces. Clad in a dark hood, the stranger stares ahead coldly, the debris in his hand signaling an even greater storm on the horizon. Battle erupts instantly, as the silver mechanical beast is impaled by a glowing blade. Meanwhile, our girl Seryung uses the momentum to leap back, her movements sharp, though the situation remains dire. Seryung drops to one knee, gasping for air. With blood on her brow and a strained expression, she's clearly at her limit. Despite the crushing pressure, she holds her ground as the enemy grows suspicious. The masked man recognizes her style and is shaken. The Sichuan Tang clan was wiped out a decade ago. How could their long-lost martial arts appear in the hands of a mere bounty hunter? Cornered, Seryung decides to go all out, forcibly activating the Xuanwu Divine Art, a secret technique reserved for the Tang clan leader. This sudden surge of power finally makes the enemy uneasy. Shut up! With a fierce roar, emerald energy erupts like a volcano, piercing through the entire room. It's more than just a technique. It's the release of Seryung's long-suppressed rage. A strange star pattern glows in Seryung's eyes, signaling the start of the Infinite Rain Flower. Dense beams of energy lock down every exit, their sheer power leaving the entire facility trembling. With one final, violent energy surge, the entire battlefield is blanketed in emerald dust. This level of destruction far exceeds human limits, leaving any hidden observers in stunned silence. The scene shifts as a long-buried past begins to surface. Deep in interstellar space, at the distant Manhwa, the origin of all this chaos seems to lead back to a masked, silver-haired woman. The silver-haired warrior recalls a haunting memory. After losing consciousness, she woke up in a cold industrial corridor, finding herself face-to-face with a mysterious figure. The figure admits he used a unilateral teleportation to bring her here. His goal? To fulfill her hidden desire for absolute strength. The stranger knows everything about her, even her title as the 8-foot fighting ghost. He mocks her endless battles, and the secret despair she feels every night. Despite the offer of supreme power, she finds him incredibly annoying. Unfazed, the figure suggests that words are useless, only through combat will she truly understand. Combat erupts, but it's a total shutdown. Amidst a haunting green glow, a mechanical shackle clamps onto her neck, leaving her paralyzed and in agonizing pain. As she loses all resistance, the figure embraces her from behind and drops a chilling revelation. He will make her strong because she is his daughter. As suffocation and shock intertwine, what twisted plan does this father have? This brutal memory seems to be the very origin of what she has become today. In the dim labs of deep space, some were willing to sacrifice their useless minds for a stronger body, chasing the ultimate power of steel. This power, known as steel fortification, eventually clad a mortal frame in majestic armor, revealing its chilling presence once more across the stars. Back in reality, our boy's crew was cruising along until Sunja suddenly spotted a massive red blip on the radar, blocking their flight path. An impossibly large starship loomed in the cold void, radiating a suffocating pressure that made their little red ship look like a mere insect. Facing this roadblock, Robert lost his cool, demanding they move. However, Sunja sternly warned him that this wasn't just any ship, it was a Celestial-class Titan. Worse yet, the owner of this giant vessel was the legendary Heavenly Demon Sect. Hearing that name, Robert's bravado instantly vanished into a cold sweat. While the whole crew was on edge, our boy remained calm as ever. He was busy slicing up hot dogs, as if the world ending could wait until he finished lunch. A high-ranking official from the sect stepped forward, introducing himself. His tone was calm, but the sheer weight of his presence made the air feel like lead. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut. This bald kid is actually a first-class officer of the Heavenly Demon Sect. His sudden appearance leaves even a veteran like Robert sweating, yet the kid remains eerily calm. The officer reveals the mastermind, Richel Archimond. This former top scientist once directed the Steel City, a secret project aimed at fusing martial arts with advanced weaponry to create the ultimate war machine. Richel was expelled for his inhumane methods, but he didn't disappear. Instead, he's been operating in the shadows with massive secret funding, conducting even more horrific experiments right under everyone's noses. Despite dropping such earth-shattering intel, the kid just calmly asks for a glass of water. Robert is completely rattled, realizing that a visit from someone this high-ranking means the military is involved. "This is beyond what civilians can handle," the kid warns. He tells them to stay out of it, claiming that against a conspiracy of this scale, all they can do is pray for their missing captain. That was the wrong thing to say. Robert slams the table in a fury, telling the kid to shut up and get out. Regardless of who the enemy is, they are never going to abandon their captain. Throughout the chaos, our boy remains cool, taking a sip of his drink. He sees right through the kid's plan, calling him out for sharing info just to use them as pawns to do the sect's dirty work. Our boy's unshakable composure leads Robert to wonder who he really is, even addressing him as Noble One. It seems the true nature of this high-stakes game is only just beginning to unfold. A mysterious bald man, eyes closed and serene, sits at a table, seemingly severing ties. He firmly declares that if they have no connection, there's nothing more to know, as they will forever remain separate. The hooded figure beside him simply replies, "No connection." Things are looking grim for Seryung. Trapped and hung upside down, she manages to wake up sooner than expected, much to the surprise of the masked man nearby. He can't help but credit her legendary Tang clan bloodline for such resilience. Seryung is in agony as machines tear through her consciousness. The villain plays the savior, claiming he's freeing her while simultaneously preparing to wipe her memories and those of her teammates forever. Despite her struggles, the villain remains unfazed. He's already blocked her meridians and paralyzed her nervous system, smugly declaring that her body no longer belongs to her. She's trapped in her own skin, a helpless puppet. Watching her writhe in pain, the villain mocks her, telling her to be a good pet. But he's making a fatal mistake, underestimating the Tang clan. Even with her nerves shattered, Seryung's eyes still burn with a terrifying defiance. Just as the villain thinks he's won, Seryung delivers a chilling warning. You can kill a Tang clan member, but you will never dominate them. Her eyes flare deep crimson, signaling the awakening of a power she was never meant to use. In an instant, a violent surge of energy erupts. Caught off guard, the villain is slammed by a lethal wave of toxic energy. This isn't just poison, it's a forbidden Tang clan bloodline technique that turns the tables in a heartbeat. This is the legendary pigeon blood poison. Every Tang clan member carries a grain of it in their heart, a final gift meant for their own end. As her heart races, the poison grows more potent, fueled by her absolute resolve to drag her enemy down with her. Covered in blood and fueled by pure vengeance, Seryung's resolve is absolute. If there's no escape, she'll make sure they both burn. As she screams for a mutual end, her desperate counterattack reaches its most terrifying peak. The battle reaches a fever pitch as Seryung, gripped by agony, desperately clings to the silver robot. Energy surges and fluids spray everywhere in this chaotic struggle. Alarms blare through the facility as the intruder alert triggers. While others panic at the sudden shift, our boy remains unfazed, calmly scanning the tactical data flashing before his eyes. Suddenly, a tide of mechanical warriors emerges, filling the horizon like a relentless army of iron zombies. The sheer scale of the force brings a suffocating sense of dread. Watching the red plumes rise in the distance, our boy stands silent. The dense mechanical phalanx waits for the signal, ready to wipe out everything in its path. Realizing the urgency, Robert roars for our boy to save the captain while he holds the line. With a thunderous impact, his massive mech strikes the ground to pave a way forward. Amidst gasps of shock, a terrifying beam of energy erupts from the ground, shaking the very planet. Countless mechanical soldiers are swept away in the searing light and shockwave. But the numbers are overwhelming. Even while surrounded, Robert keeps firing through his grumbling. Through the smoke and flames, the Iron Legion continues its cold, relentless advance. As the battle intensifies, Robert's mech goes full throttle, unleashing a barrage of searing energy beams. He's holding them off for now, but the true crisis has only just begun. Inside a hidden control room, a silver-haired commander watches the monitors with cold intensity. The screens are filled with high-stakes, heavy-fire combat. On the battlefield, heavy mechs unleash absolute chaos. Blinding laser cannons fire massive energy blasts that swallow everything in their path. A barrage of automatic laser missiles triggers a chain of massive explosions. The resulting shockwaves send entire ranks of security units flying. With anti-gravity rockets and elite gear deployed, it's clear this is no ordinary skirmish, but a calculated clash over forbidden technology. As the situation spirals out of control, the commander gives the final word: eliminate everyone on site, and leave no witnesses behind. The base's alarm suddenly blares. Someone is tearing through the facility at incredible speeds, breaching District 7 in the blink of an eye. Our boy is moving so fast it's like he's teleporting. He blasts past rows of experimental stasis pods, outrunning the base's tracking systems. Confronted by this supernatural speed, the villain finally snaps. He screams in pure disbelief. There's no way anyone could move like that. Following a massive energy blast, a half-masked cyborg emerges from the debris, bracing himself after the violent impact as dust and smoke fill the air. The facility is a chilling sight, with rows of glowing blue pods housing human test subjects, all part of the horrific Iron Zombie project. Our boy suddenly appears at the breach above. Looking down upon this den of sin, his commanding presence alone seems to freeze the very air in the room. Caught completely off guard by this mysterious intruder, the masked cyborg stares back in shock, frantically demanding to know who exactly has interrupted him. As our boy's eyes fall upon the bloodied young girl lying unconscious on the platform, his calm demeanor vanishes, replaced by a cold, rising fury. Descending from the ledge, our boy condemns the enemy's lack of humanity, calling him a heartless monster for inflicting such cruelty on a mere child. Paralyzed by our boy's soul-piercing gaze and overwhelming killing intent, the villain trembles in fear. The ultimate clash of ancient and modern power is about to begin. Facing a half-human, half-machine opponent, our boy remains unfazed. Despite the enemy's explosive power, it barely scratches the surface of the ancient heavenly demon's overwhelming presence. With a violent surge of blue-white energy, the battle intensifies instantly. Before the enemy can react, our boy strikes like lightning, forcing a desperate evasion. Drawing his blade, a deep blue glow envelopes him, the mark of primal martial arts capable of warping space. The enemy is stunned to see what looks like high-level void manipulation. Even more shocking, the scanners reveal our boy has no internal power drive. Performing such feats without a tech core leaves the opponent in a state of pure existential dread. Seizing the moment, our boy steps forward calmly. With his armor cracking under the strain, the enemy curses his previous injuries, feeling a mounting sense of total despair. Distraction is a bad habit in a fight, our boy mocks. In his eyes, this cyborg isn't just non-human, he's not even a worthy warrior. Enraged and cornered, the opponent roars and launches a final, desperate charge. Green energy flares wildly, as he gambles everything on one last strike. Unfortunately, struggle is futile against absolute power. Our boy counters with a precise strike, his blue lightning shattering the mechanical limb with cold efficiency. As the dust settles, our boy looks toward the girl unconscious on the platform. He murmurs softly, as if this fight was meant to atone for the suffering his presence caused. Seeing Seryung unconscious and covered in blood, our boy's rage finally boils over. His cold gaze locks onto the enemy, calmly stating that it's time for them to pay the ultimate price for provoking him. Facing such overwhelming pressure, the villain breaks into a cold sweat, cursing his luck. He never expected that after dealing with the Tangirl, he'd run straight into an even more terrifying monster. With his internal energy output dropping below 40% due to previous injuries, the villain knows he has no chance in a fair fight. Driven into a corner, he decides to go for a desperate, final gamble. As warning sirens blare, the villain is enveloped in crackling cyan arcs of energy, his eyes turning blood red from system overload. This force limit break has clearly pushed him to the brink of losing control. Our boy watches this frantic power-up, barely having time to process these strange modern techniques before Seryung weakly opens her eyes. She warns him that the villain is planning a self-destruct to take him down with him. In an instant, a terrifying surge of energy detonates in the center of the room, sending blinding light piercing through the industrial base. From afar, the crew watches in horror as the explosion tears through the facility. In the aftermath of the blast, the scene is a total wreck. System errors flash everywhere, missiles depleted, energy drained, and combat suits shredded. This brutal showdown has pushed everyone to their absolute limits. The situation is looking grim as our ally finds herself surrounded by mechanical soldiers, her gear sparking from damage. Trapped in a circle of steel, she desperately shouts for the machines to stop before she's overwhelmed. Just in time, our guy Robert makes a grand entrance, smashing the ground with a devastating kick that shatters the enemy's line. With a cold glare, he introduces himself as the former Sergeant Major of the Northern Galaxy Forces. Robert prepares to show them why he's a legend. He draws his dual blades as blinding energy surges through them, closing his eyes calmly even as a swarm of mechanical soldiers descends from the sky to stop him. In a flash, a pillar of golden light pierces the planet's crust, sending a massive energy pulse tearing across the wasteland. In the face of such raw power, the mechanical army is erased as the entire world turns white. As the dust settles, Robert stands bare-chested amidst the wreckage, his blade still glowing with residual power. He didn't just survive the ambush. He sent a violent message that the legendary veteran is back in action. The massive explosion sends a colossal mushroom cloud rising from the satellite's surface, visible even from the deep reaches of space. A blast of this magnitude is no longer just a skirmish, it's a planetary event. The shockwave immediately triggers alarms at a distant observatory. Watching the off-the-charts electromagnetic readings, the officials realize something catastrophic is happening near planet Huashan, and the storm is only beginning. With the battle over, the authorities move quickly to erase the evidence, ordering all records deleted. As the explosion ripples through space, they hope to bury the truth forever. Standing amidst the mechanical wreckage, Robert is left dazed and confused. The chaotic battlefield has suddenly turned eerily quiet, leaving him with a growing sense of dread. Scanning the barren wasteland, Robert desperately calls out for our boy. The enemy legion has been decimated, but the legendary master has seemingly vanished into thin air. Within a mysterious, soft glow, our boy stands watch over his fallen comrade. Though the scene is somber, the very fabric of space and time seems to be shifting around them. Watching from a distance, Robert is struck by the surreal sight. After such a brutal struggle, they have finally found a moment of peace beneath the silent stars. A miracle unfolds as Manhwa planet regains its vitality. The innocent people once used as test subjects return to the streets, their lives suddenly restored to normal. Incredibly, no one seems to remember the horror. As they gather to eat and talk, it's as if the nightmare that threatened their existence never even happened. Squatting in the sand, Robert is completely baffled, calling the whole thing a ghost story. He simply can't grasp how our boy managed to pull off such a feat. Sanjay explains that this is entropy inversion, a forbidden technology used to reset time. Because of the immense risks involved, such experiments are strictly banned across the galaxy. But it turns out our boy hasn't just mastered this god-tier tech, he's used it to reboot an entire planet at once. This overwhelming power would leave even the greatest scientists speechless. As rain washes over a young sapling, dark forces are plotting behind the scenes. They marvel at a genius scientist's forbidden tech, which has even garnered support from the military. As long as the target draws breath, the hunt continues. A direct order is issued: eliminate the threat and silence the imposter who dares to use their sex martial arts. Beneath the deep, silent stars, a childlike powerhouse meditates atop a massive orb. His cold gaze, far beyond his years, seems locked onto a distant target. Back on the black market planet, our boy calmly sips tea in a traditional loft. Opposite him, the Manhwa leader offers sincere thanks for saving his daughter and the rebels. However, our boy sees right through the plot. The rebels were merely puppets. The Manhwa leader can only smile bitterly, admitting that the true mastermind is now untouchable. Facing our boy's piercing gaze, the leader is shaken to his core. To protect the lives of 10,000 clan members, he's prepared to swallow his pride and bury the truth. He is stunned by how such a young man can possess such a terrifying presence. For survival, he must weigh the cost between protecting his sect and seeking justice. While pouring a fresh cup of tea, this mysterious figure notes how unusual it is to see someone so relaxed. Most people treat him with absolute reverence, but our boy's casual attitude is a refreshing change of pace. The man speaks candidly about his choice to live looking down upon the world. It's a level of arrogance that makes our boy wonder if this guy genuinely views himself as a supreme being. Our boy isn't really interested in philosophy right now. Changing the subject, he asks about the limits of modern technology, specifically whether there's a way to reconnect a severed limb. Back on the ship, Seryung is suspended in a glowing medical pod. Bathed in golden light, she looks peaceful, but the high-tech equipment humming around her tells a much more desperate story. Sunja is hard at work, eyes glued to the data streaming across her tablet. Before she can even finish her analysis, a frantic Robert rushes in, desperate for any update on the captain's condition. The diagnosis is grim. The poison is spreading faster than they can neutralize it. Robert completely loses his cool, grabbing his companion and demanding they head to a major hospital before it's too late. As Robert spirals into a frantic rage, the situation on board grows chaotic. Inside the cold medical pod, Seryung's life hangs by a thread, and time is rapidly running out for the crew. Things are looking dire. With no antidote and no time to reach a hospital, the team is stuck. Even the usually tough Robert is at a loss, staring down a hopeless situation. Sunja suggests a cold, logical farewell, releasing their comrade into space per the captain's orders. Her detached reasoning leaves Robert stunned, his voice trembling as the weight of loss sinks in. The only sound in the corridor is the steady drip of water. Sunja stands alone at the dispenser. Though her expression remains stoic, her mechanical movements betray a heavy, silent sadness. Droplets on her mask look like unshed tears, while a massive ship looms outside. The memories of laughter and shared moments in the stars now feel like fading, bittersweet fragments of the past. A silver-haired girl stands alone by the railing, watching the horizon. As the ship accelerates into the void, the bonds of the past seem to be swallowed by the dark, leaving only a vast emptiness behind. Suddenly, a massive white vessel descends over a traditional estate on another planet. Our boy, resting in the courtyard, senses the intrusion and looks up with an intense, razor-sharp gaze. A subordinate rushes in to report that the ship belongs to the legendary West Heaven Sword matron, Kim Yunhwa. Hearing her name, our boy's expression hardens. A clash of titans is clearly imminent. Inside the Hua Mountain sect, a disciple reports to his master that she has not responded to their repeated attempts to contact her. The master, however, calmly instructs them to simply let her be, as she clearly didn't come for him. The disciple, fuming, considers the West Heaven Sword matrons' actions a blatant disrespect to their sect. Yet, his master urges him to calm down, emphasizing that the Hua Mountain sect is currently in reconstruction and must avoid conflicts with other factions. Seeing his disciple's reluctance, the master earnestly advises that patience is currently the Hua Mountain sect's greatest strength. They must endure, at least until the sect is powerful enough to retaliate. Though his expression remains calm, a flicker of unwillingness still dances in the disciple's eyes, as he silently internalizes his master's words. While the Hua Mountain sect bided its time, a massive spaceship crossed the sky, bringing our boy to a high-tech lab. There, Dr. Richel, clad in white, surprisingly offered to heal Seryung. Hearing Richel's ability to reattach a severed arm, our boy mused on technological advancement. Richel, however, clarified that reattaching the arm was trivial. The true challenge was removing the blood poison that had spread to Seryung's heart. Upon hearing blood poison in the heart, our boy instantly deduced Seryung's Sichuan Tang clan origins, even throwing in a jab about Tang clan members being foolish and hot-tempered. Richel was surprised by his profound martial arts knowledge, noting that this heart poison was a secret technique reserved for Tang clan nobility. Weighing his options, our boy decided to accept Richel's proposal, stating, "All right, I request it. Heal the girl." He then directly asked Richel what he desired in return for this assistance. A sharp-eyed black-haired man keenly observes the conversation, sensing it's filled with killing intent, indicating strong emotions from the other party. Meanwhile, the masked, muscular man responds, saying he feels like he's met the target the other person is talking about. Not long ago, he also encountered someone who made him want to beat them to death. However, when the black-haired man asks about the target, the masked man drops a bombshell. If that person is their target, they're too late, because he's already dead. Yet, A mysterious woman named Rachel calmly retorts that the target is still alive. The reason he's untraceable is that he's hidden himself in a much deeper place, requiring immense effort to locate him. To track their target, the group arrives at the Humanity Government's Southern Galactic Core military droid disposal site, a place resembling a massive industrial ruin. A white-haired woman stands quietly on the gray grid floor, holding a brown piece of clothing, as if awaiting something. Suddenly, the colossal cylindrical device hums and vibrates, as blue-green liquid gushes down its internal edges, signaling the commencement of some ritual. The white-haired woman steps barefoot into the luminous blue-green liquid flowing from the device, a hint of anticipation in her eyes. As the liquid churns, a muscular figure slowly emerges, painfully contorting his body and letting out a gasp, as if abruptly awakened from a deep slumber. Rachel drapes a garment over him, congratulating the Count on his return to life, her tone brimming with confident control. The awakened Count is clearly disoriented by his surroundings. He looks up at Rachel, asking with uncertainty, "Who are you?" Rachel looks directly at the Count and slowly introduces herself. "I am Rachel Archimond, your vessel, Count." She assures the Count that it will only be a little longer until all his memories return, as the Count silently processes the revelations. The scene opens with an orange glowing sphere collapsing and shattering into pieces, as a low whisper echoes, "You will love me again." A blonde character calmly explains that the facility is operated by the human government and kept under close watch by their planetary defense forces. Our boy listens intently, then crosses his arms and asks coolly if this human government is akin to the official bodies of old. Recalling that a child once mentioned the same thing, our guy says with a touch of nostalgia that the term official body hasn't been heard in thousands of years, remarking how this conversation sparks the memories. Another character with light gold hair mutters that the elite's habit of keeping their power by staying not too close yet not too far hasn't changed at all over the millennia. They note our protagonist speaks as if he's truly from thousands of years ago. The white-haired figure standing by the shattered sphere cuts to the chase, asking our boy what exactly he's supposed to do. The scene shifts to a white-haired officer in military uniform, who lays out the core demand. They need our guy to divert the attention of the planetary defense forces. Immediately after, the focus cuts to a smiling, dark-haired character who mentions he just received a report stating the lab was completely destroyed. The white-haired man with a face mask and a glowing green energy core on his chest replies coldly that he erased all evidence. He states that maintaining secrecy for this project is their top priority. However, Planetary Defense Commander Bernard retorts with a mocking smile, saying it seems the man's tongue wasn't injured and he can still speak quite smoothly. Rachel remains unfazed, pointing out that the Steel City project was just part of the process. The main project, the Iron Gangshire project, will now officially proceed. Finally, he shifts gears, his gaze fixing on someone as he makes an unsettling request. "That thing you have with you, can you make one for me?" Inside the command center, Commander Bernardo leans back in boredom, tired of his long assignment. Before him stands the white-haired cyborg, its glowing green core a stark reminder of the weapons at his disposal. Bernardo shows utter contempt for the cyborgs, calling them nothing but trash. To him, treating these heartless machines like actual people is an insolent joke that he simply can't stomach. The scene shifts to a somber memory where rain drenches the temple gate. Sarah Young stands alone in the downpour, clutching her sword as the crushing weight of her past begins to resurface. Our boy appears within her shifting memories, seeing right through Sarah Young's fiery persona. He points out that beneath her tough exterior, she's been hiding behind a thick, defensive mask all this time. Seeing her lost in grief, our guy reaches out to guide her back to reality. But Sarah Young refuses, her mind fixated on protecting a gate that represents everything she's already lost. Our boy calmly explains that this is all a delusion, but Sarah Young is too far gone to listen. She screams in desperation, swearing to protect her duty even if it costs her life. Driven by her trauma, Sarah Young swings her sword and strikes our boy. Realizing words are no longer enough, he decides to use force to break her free from this self-destructive nightmare. Within a mysterious green light pillar, a woman undergoes a startling transformation. Her closed eyes snap open, glowing with an eerie red light, as particles swirl around her, solidifying her form as if she's being reborn. Meanwhile, in another cold, mechanical chamber, a white-haired woman lies restrained on an operating table. Nearby, a gold-haired woman, connected to complex machinery, recharges her internal energy. She calmly asks, "How is your body?" The one being addressed was Sarah Young, now clad in red with a sharp gaze. Hearing the reminder about her reattached arm needing time to heal, Seryung earnestly thanked her. "Thank you for saving my life. I will definitely repay this debt." However, the gold-haired woman seemed dismissive. "You're overestimating yourself. Debts are only shared between equals. Moreover, I had no reason to use all my internal energy to save you." A nearby energy display showed 92%. Confronted by such cold words, Seryung frowned, asking in confusion, "Then, why did you save me?" Without directly answering, the gold-haired woman presented a container holding a grotesque, worm-like creature. "I almost couldn't get it out." Seryung immediately recognized it as the pigeon blood red, the deadliest forbidden poison rumored in the Tang family. With a grim expression, she urgently pleaded, "Please give it back to me. That's my soul." Just then, a fully recharged alert for the energy drive sounded. The gold-haired woman straightened up, ready to reveal the true ownership of this forbidden item. The gold-haired woman coldly declared, "You've already activated the half-blood poison and chosen death, meaning you've abandoned this poison. It's no longer yours." The deadly worm squirmed, as if asserting its new ownership. However, she then extended her hand, offering the squirming pigeon blood red to Seryung, stating with complex words, "It has become mine, but I shall give it to you. Is this a gift, or another trap?" In exchange for answers, she begins telling everything she knows about the universe heavenly demon figure. Elsewhere, our boy is having a conversation with a long-haired man in traditional gray robes. In a classically furnished room, the robed man states that his reason for seeking our boy out is to repay a kindness he once received. Our guy weighs it off, saying he acted of his own will, and a cup of tea is enough. However, the man insists that the Manhwa sect is not accustomed to being in debt. He decides to repay the debt with sincere advice, a serious warning to never get close to the West Heaven Sword matron. He calls her a venomous spider in the abyss, infecting all that come near with darkness, even her own flesh and blood. Meanwhile, in an industrial corridor, the masked blonde woman stands silently against a wall. She addresses a figure in the corridor, asking why they've been targeting her. As she speaks, a woman with red highlights and a ponytail steps into the light from the shadowy end of the hall. The blonde reveals the reason. "Because my mother saved you." This bitter accusation seems to have little effect. The red-haired woman simply closes her eyes, murmuring, "Like mother, like daughter. You two really are alike," before turning and walking away. As the tea talk progresses, she becomes the center of conversation. The black-haired woman beside them seems a bit uncomfortable with the casual tone, directly questioning, "How old are you? Why do you always speak to me so informally?" Our boy, the black-haired man calmly pouring tea, simply states, "I appreciate your advice, but I'll handle it my way." Clearly, he's not letting her complaints bother him. In a quiet corner, our boy listens as an elder speaks of a woman obsessed with creating the perfect being, a dream that has led her down a path of endless, failed replications. Gesturing to the tea set, the elder warns our guy that he has caught her eye. He cautions that getting close to such a person is a dangerous gamble he shouldn't take lightly. As they part ways, the elder watches our boy's back with a hint of melancholy. He muses that things might have been different if she weren't so obsessed, or perhaps just his type. Meanwhile, Robert is so relieved to see Seryung alive that he tackles her in a massive hug. His enthusiastic shouting of "Captain" only leaves her feeling incredibly uncomfortable. While Robert continues his drama, Seryung's focus shifts to our boy, who's calmly eating nearby. She leans over the table and asks the one thing she's been dying to know. "You're way older than me, right?" Our guy just keeps slicing his sausage in silence, but his lack of denial is all the proof she needs. Seryung freaks out, realizing she's dealing with a literal grandpa from another era. While our boy is happily munching on a sausage, Seryung slams the table in a rage. She demands Sunja bring some healthy food instead, proving even an ancient legend can't escape a lecture on nutrition. Meanwhile, Commander Jong Ritak receives a shocking report. It reveals that the man causing all the chaos is Lee Mokjin, an ancient figure who sealed himself away 2 millennia ago. When pressed for more details, the informant drops a bombshell. This ancient warrior calls himself the Heavenly Demon Supreme. Hearing that legendary title, Jong Ritak is visibly shaken by the implications. Over in Ritual's secret lab, heavy machinery is working overtime. As high-energy beams converge on the platform, a top-secret experiment capable of shifting the balance of power reaches its climax. As the data transfer hits its peak, Ritual watches the monitors with cold indifference. In his vision, These machines and martial arts will soon fuse into the ultimate killing weapon. Rachel reaches out, calling to his masterpiece with a chilling sense of ownership. A terrifying new threat has emerged, and a trap designed specifically for our boy is finally being set in motion. In the depths of a high-tech lab, Rachel Archimond examines a glowing mechanical spider. This tiny device is far more dangerous than its delicate appearance suggests. Rachel meets with the military to present his latest product. Behind the casual tea service lies the sinister truth of the Iron Gangster project. Addressing the military's skepticism, Rachel explains the project's goal: transforming living humans into undetectable combat droids with superhuman martial arts. To demonstrate its power, Rachel activates the spider. It latches onto a guard and begins burrowing into his body in a chilling display of parasitic technology. As the parasitic process takes hold, the victim screams in agony. Strange purple veins erupt across his skin, and his eyes flare with a sinister, unnatural light. While the guard writhes in pain, Rachel calmly sips his tea. He explains that the device seizes the central nervous system, turning humans into literal living puppets. If the Iron Gangster technology is deployed on a massive scale, the balance of the interstellar world will be shattered. And this is only the beginning. The scene shifts as the commander learns about the Iron Gangster project. It's designed to forcibly release massive internal energy, turning subjects into ultimate killing machines, just like the hulking figure seen here. However, Rachel admits that due to genetic mismatches, these subjects have become horribly deformed. Their bodies are twisting in agony as their immune systems struggle against the violent transformation. Seeing the failure, the commander loses his temper after waiting 10 years. He slams the table, demanding to know how Rachel plans to explain these results to the investors as the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. Rachel remains calm, revealing a blue mechanical device. He cryptically explains that the technology hasn't reached its full potential yet, simply because it hasn't found its true owner to bond with. As energy surges, a blinding blue beam erupts, sending massive shockwaves throughout the lab. The once skeptical commander is left completely speechless by the sheer, raw power now on display. The destructive energy extends into the void, obliterating celestial bodies with terrifying precision. As the beam pierces the deep star's cape, it's clear that a much larger, cosmic game is just beginning. As the ship rumbles to a halt, our boy and the crew finally reach their destination. Looking out at the cracked, crumbling celestial body, the tension in the air is palpable. Inside the cockpit, the atmosphere is thick with tension. The crew reports they've hit the limit. One more step means trespassing on government territory. Everyone is waiting for the captain's next move. It turns out this is a government-run military droid disposal site, heavily guarded and restricted. Even for these seasoned bounty hunters, entering such a forbidden zone is a massive gamble. The radar quickly picks up a signal from the West Heaven Sword matron's ship. Knowing the target is safely tucked away on the dark side of the moon, Sarah Young grits her teeth, bracing for a direct confrontation. To protect her crew, Sarah Young orders the landing pods prepared. She tells them to stay behind and disavow her if things go south, as she prepares to descend into the fray with our boy. At this critical moment, our boy remains incredibly calm, suggesting he go in alone. After all, the coming battle is far beyond what any normal person can survive, and he knows it. Sarah Young insists on coming along, claiming she needs to pilot the landing pod. However, her excuse is immediately called out by the crew. Everyone knows her flying skills are barely functional. Banter aside, Sarah Young is driven by a personal grudge. But our boy sees right through her facade, reminding her of a much greater debt she still owes. The sudden insight leaves her completely stunned. Heavy footsteps echo through a dim, futuristic corridor, as a cold voice warns that clinging to the past only distances one from the present. This oppressive atmosphere hints that some buried secrets are about to spiral out of control. The scene shifts to a stern high-ranking officer alone in a command room. Before him, a screen displays the progress of the Iron Gangster project, while a body covered in cloth in the center of the room emits an unsettling red glow. A massive, golden mechanical eye suddenly fills the screen, the voice of the hidden controller. The officer trembles as he reports that because they dared to use Manhwa sect disciples as subjects, the so-called perfect project was doomed from the start. Despite the officer's fears of the investigation committee, the eye remains coldly indifferent, demanding a cover-up at all costs. To these rulers, lives are just data. As long as the truth is hidden, success or failure no longer matters. After the call cuts, the officer collapses into his chair, drained of strength. Drenched in sweat, he regrets tangling with such monsters. But before he can regain his composure, a sudden, sharp alarm shatters the silence. The scene shifts to a desolate wasteland. A sealed red pod, half buried in the sand, hisses as it opens, and a trail of footprints leads away. It seems something that should have stayed asleep has quietly escaped its cage. Across the sands littered with metallic debris, a black-haired youth walks barefoot. His face is expressionless, yet his eyes hold a cold intensity from another era as he heads straight toward the mysterious facility center. Meanwhile, Rachel senses the anomaly. An alarm from the droid disposal site gives him pause, while the image of a shattered moon overlaid on a silver-haired girl hints at an upcoming upheaval that could reshape the entire galaxy. Amidst the quiet greenery, a strange silver mechanical spider lies in wait. A young girl leans in curiously, unaware of the metallic threat lurking right before her eyes. Suddenly, the device springs to life, streaking through the air like a silver bullet. It slams into a leaf with a violent spark, revealing its true nature as a high-speed projectile. Elsewhere, the tension reaches a breaking point. A masked figure gazes down from high above, his cold eyes locked onto our boy, who stands calmly amidst the surrounding rubble. Monitoring from safety, a military officer sips his tea while analyzing our boy. He dismisses him as a pure natural, a mere vagrant without any high-tech cybernetics. With no data on record and no detected weapons, the officer cold-bloodedly orders an execution. To the military, he's just another trespasser to be eliminated without a second thought. As an armored knight charges at terminal velocity, our boy doesn't even bother taking his hands out of his pockets. He stands perfectly still, unimpressed by the incoming assault. Just then, a frantic warning arrives, urging the officer not to underestimate his target. But the arrogant commander scoffs, unaware that he's just poked a sleeping legendary demon. On the monitor, our boy walks calmly through a high-speed assault. Commander Bernard is left in shock, while Rachel is fascinated by the mysterious protective field generated by ancient martial arts. Tension flares in the command center as Rachel mocks Bernard's incompetence. Warning that no one is safe if the project fails, the scientist delivers a cold insult and turns to leave. Bernard is fuming at the insult, but he has no time for a grudge. Our boy has already breached the second defense line, forcing the military to scramble their beam cannons and droid battalions. Desperate to end the threat, Bernard orders the activation of the Tathagata weapon. Meanwhile, Rachel is busy coordinating with subordinates, determined to accelerate his twisted scientific project. On a quiet hillside, a silver-haired handler waits as a mysterious girl in a baseball cap arrives. With this key material finally delivered, the dark project moves into its next sinister phase. Back on the battlefield, a massive energy vortex erupts in front of our boy. Despite the ground-shaking power, he simply looks on with a sigh, completely unfazed by yet another high-tech trick. With a divine and crushing pressure, a massive palm descends from the heavens. Faced with this world-shattering strike, our boy remains calm, questioning the true nature of his opponent. A thunderous impact shatters the ground as the giant palm strikes, sending debris flying. Even for our boy, facing such overwhelming force head-on brings a tense look to his eyes. Amidst the dust, a violent energy vortex tears through the earth. High above, the stone Buddha remains silent, radiating an intimidating and tranquil power. From behind the monitors, the commander watches coldly with a hint of disdain. To him, such a blow should turn anyone to ash, hardly worth making a fuss over. No sooner had the order to recover the body been given than the alarms blared. Our boy is not only alive, but completely unharmed, leaving the commander in a fit of rage. The divine palm remains pressed to the cracked earth, sparks flying as energy twists around the stone Buddha. It's clear that the battle is far from over. Under the commander's disbelief, our boy emerges floating in midair. Despite losing a shoe, his calm and absolute presence sends a shiver through the very stars above. Driven to madness, the villain screams for blood as the red core of the vortex ignites. A blinding light surges once more, signaling an even greater storm on the horizon. Facing the violent energy vortex, our boy calmly reaches out to meet it head-on. To him, this so-called Buddha's energy is nothing more than a crude and impure imitation. A hint of disdain flashes in our boy's golden eyes. As he exerts his power, the once solemn Buddha statue is instantly pierced by violent energy, shattering its divine facade. Amidst a massive surge of energy, the colossal stone Buddha begins to crumble. This overwhelming power sends shockwaves to those watching the battle from the shadows. Commander Bernard stares at the monitor in utter disbelief, his eyes wide with terror. He never imagined someone could destroy their ultimate defense so effortlessly. As the smoke clears, Our boy stands in the ruins, joking that since he's punched a hole in Buddha's head, Nirvana is definitely off the table. Still, he knows this commotion isn't enough yet. Just then, a massive wave of mechanical beings emerges like a tide. The synchronized sound of their march shatters the desert silence as the real threat closes in on our boy. Meanwhile, the masked ritual recognizes the forbidden technique of the heavenly demon sect. He falls into a manic frenzy, frantically demanding an immediate connection to headquarters. Ritual screams in desperation, trying to send out a final warning. But the screen only returns harsh static. It's clear that all communications have been completely severed. With heavy footsteps echoing through the hall, a familiar voice rings out. The man before our boy seems to share a dark and twisted history with him, stretching back decades. The man grows increasingly desperate, revealing the scars from a lab accident 25 years ago. He is convinced that our boy couldn't possibly have forgotten that fateful night. The gates of memory swing open, taking us back to the galactic citadel. In those days, the scientist was a rising star, hailed as a peerless genius with unmatched potential. Even the formidable sword mother, Kim Yunhwa, was obsessed with him. She was willing to cast aside her pride, just to claim his genes and create the world's most perfect being. But reality is far colder. From behind his mask, the man screams his questions, desperate to know if our boy holds even the slightest fragment of a memory of him. Faced with such obsession, our boy simply draws his weapon. To him, the names of failures aren't worth remembering, and the tension in the room suddenly turns lethal. The story continues. Against the backdrop of the vast cosmos and advanced starships, our boy Lee Mok-jin's interstellar journey begins a new chapter. Suddenly, a defense base falls into a total disaster. With perimeter forces collapsing, the commander stares at the screens full of destruction reports in sheer terror. Before a distress signal can even be sent, a violent impact shatters the command center. Amidst the debris, the once proud commander collapses, completely broken and defenseless. Just then, a figure emerges through the thick smoke. Staring at this unexpected intruder, the dying officer gasps, demanding to know who on earth he is. With a cold expression, our boy simply states his name. He boldly tells the officer that his identity was already in the reports, and if there's a problem, he's the one to deal with. He doesn't waste any more time, sharpening his gaze, as he demands to know exactly where the half-formed monster is being hidden. Meanwhile, in a dark chamber, a masked madman is spiraling into a paranoid rage. He screams about the pain of abandonment, obsessively believing he has finally created a perfect being. He gambled his entire life for this moment, pouring everything into this forbidden facility of glowing blue vats, refusing to let anyone call him a failure again. Amidst the flash of red blades, two white-haired figures clash in a deadly standoff. Finally, with a heavy gasp, the duel ends, leaving only a chilling whisper, "I remember you." Ritual is drowning in uncomfortable memories of words he once ignored. As the heavy doors creak open, a dark chapter of the past is about to be revealed. Our boy walks through the dim corridor alone. At the end of the hall, an old, solitary figure sits beneath a pillar of light, as if he's been waiting for this moment. Ritual sits drenched in blood, a clean strike having pierced his heart. Even on the brink of death, he marvels at the absolute coldness and resolve of the killer. Watching the once mighty scientist in such a pathetic state, his companion's gaze turns somber. In this world, it seems no one can truly escape their cruel fate. Struggling to speak, Ritual's voice is filled with lingering obsession. He refuses to believe his life was worthless, and is determined to leave behind an eternal mark. Faced with such stubbornness, our boy coldly tells him to let go. With death so near, perhaps oblivion is the only mercy the afterlife can offer. But Ritual cracks a haunting smile, claiming his creation will live on for him. Just then, two mysterious figures appear at the door, shifting the tension. When our boy catches a glimpse of the newcomers, he freezes in shock. It's a child. The familiar face sends a jolt through him, leaving him speechless. Losing his composure, he rushes toward the child, desperate to confirm what he's seeing. What deadly secrets could this person possibly be hiding? The scene shifts as a mysterious figure stands in the shadows. With eyes downcast and a somber expression, it feels like a heavy storm is quietly brewing in the silence. Alarms blare as Director Bernard watches his defenses crumble. With power failing and repairs impossible, he descends into a panicked rage, refusing to accept the automated orders to evacuate. Suddenly, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos, freezing Bernard in his tracks. The mysterious speaker coldly explains that the escaped ship is merely a small gesture of consideration for the old days. A purple-haired woman appears, a single tear escaping her eye. She gives Bernard a grim choice: take the escape ship, or stay behind for a glorious end if he truly wishes to die like a soldier. In the cold void of space, the massive station hangs like a broken tomb. A small red craft drifts through the debris, dwarfed by the sheer scale of the silent, metallic wreckage surrounding it. Our boys' squad is caught completely off guard. While Seryung demands to know where this thing came from, Sunja calmly explains that the massive object just teleported right in front of them. A gargantuan cubic structure looms in the stars, glowing with eerie green lights. But more terrifying than its sudden appearance is the unmistakable insignia etched onto its hull. As the spiral emblem comes into focus, Seryung's face pales in absolute shock. She realizes the terrifying truth: this massive intruder belongs to the human government, and the stakes just skyrocketed. With a violent tremor, a massive surge of energy erupts, sending shockwaves through the air. The explosion is so intense that everyone watching is left completely stunned. Staring at the chaos, our boy is visibly shaken. He clearly didn't expect this level of raw power, and the sudden pressure is enough to make anyone freeze. Behind the scenes, a dark history unfolds. This vessel was created with limitless potential, designed to absorb everything and eventually reach the absolute pinnacle of strength. The Count, now on the brink of death and covered in blood, tells the girl that she is finally free. He urges her to live according to her own will from now on. In his final moments, the Count hands over a pulsating blue core. It's more than just a power source. It's his final legacy, given so that she may live freely in this world. As the Count's hand finally falls still, the blue core pulses rhythmically on the ground. Its steady beat signals the awakening of a force that will soon shake the entire galaxy. Faced with this sudden loss, the girl falls into a long silence. Meanwhile, the throbbing heart core glows with an eerie light, signaling that the real storm is only just beginning. The scene opens with intense tension, as a blood-stained hand shields a pulsing blue core. Floating above, a golden-haired girl issues a final warning, demanding an immediate end to the madness. Despite the threats, the kneeling figure remains defiant. He doesn't see his life as mere madness, but a fierce struggle for survival. Having finally gained free will, he refuses to live as a puppet ever again. As golden light erupts, the clash of destinies reaches its peak. A white-haired girl watches, with a complex gaze, as the chains binding the soul begin to disintegrate under the surging energy. Now, I give you freedom as well. As the core shatters, this final command feels more like a legacy. Amidst the swirling fragments and blinding light, the long-standing shackles finally vanish. A massive ship cuts through the starry void as evacuation alarms blare. In this critical moment, the desperate cry to leave immediately carries the weight of a final farewell, filling the cold cabin with sorrow. Tears stream down Seryung's face as she watches the departing figure with deep longing. Just as she was once protected, this separation marks both an end and a regretful new beginning. As the light fades, only ruins remain, and the struggling figure finally collapses. Our boy squats amidst the debris, sensing a lingering anomaly in the air. Clearly, this is far from over. However, an even greater crisis descends from deep space. The military detects a Leviathan-class battleship near lunar orbit, plunging headquarters into tension as the grand interstellar game begins. Before the dust could even settle, the military drops a bombshell. A Leviathan-class cruiser from the Government Inspection Department is looming overhead, and it looks like they're prepping for a full-on orbital bombardment. Faced with that massive silhouette in the sky, Robert's already losing his mind. Seryung hopes they're still hidden, but Sunja quickly shuts that down. The elephants in the sky have definitely already spotted the mice on the ground. In the midst of the crushing tension, a high-ranking official named Athena's son steps forward. With an unerringly calm gaze, she immediately identifies Seryung as the last surviving descendant of the Sichuan Tang clan. Everyone braced for a fight, but Athena turns out to be a total career bureaucrat. She admits that handling a case outside her department is too much paperwork, so she decides to just pretend she never saw our crew at all. But don't think they're safe just yet. Athena immediately files a doctored report, blaming the lunar chaos on a technical bug while recommending Operation Plan 6 Art. The real storm is only just beginning. Inside the orbital station, a black-haired woman watches the monitoring feed in alarm, demanding to know what's causing the chaos below. The blonde figure wearing the H logo cap calmly replies that everything is under control, as all rogue droids have been deactivated. The black-haired woman clearly isn't convinced, crossing her arms and pressing for answers. Then the scene shifts, showing the white-haired man with blue shades we saw earlier, his expression turning extremely grave. At that moment, a red-haired woman receives a critical order through her comms. With a disturbingly calm expression, she acknowledges it with a simple, "Thank you." The view pulls back, revealing their location, a massive orbital space station hovering among the stars. A moment later, a green beam lances down from the station's core toward the planet's surface below. The green energy beam strikes an experimental zone on the planet's surface with pinpoint accuracy. In an instant, it annihilates everything in the vicinity, including the rogue mechanical remains and facilities, reducing the area to dust and debris. The ground shakes violently as a black, conical device is violently driven into the earth. Nearby, a massive silver drill pierces the ground with a terrifying, swirling shockwave, carving out a huge crater. Hearing the term, orbital bombardment, Sir-Young turns around in shock, demanding to know what it means. Robert explains that it's a terrifying weapon capable of destroying entire planets or moons, gesturing towards a satellite outside their ship window in disbelief. The pilot Sunja calmly pulls up data showing a missile boring into the moon's core, stating that the entire moon will vanish if it detonates. With only 3 minutes until detonation, Sunja warns they must escape immediately. Sir-Young and Robert stare out the window in shock as the pressure of impending doom settles in. Meanwhile, deep in Earth's wasteland, the cold command from the red-haired commander is given, officially initiating the detonation sequence. The explosion's shockwave instantly engulfs the lunar surface, cracking the ground apart as the massive base structures and mechanical guardians begin to crumble. The scale of destruction continues to expand, with rocks and massive metal structures shattering and flying through the air. A black escape pod activates its cyan engines, beginning a high-speed descent towards Earth amidst the falling debris and flames. Inside the control room, the red-haired commander orders her ship's shields activated. However, she wears an unreadable expression and ultimately reduces the shields to 80%. "More dramatic this way, don't you think?" she remarks on this destructive escape. An elderly officer grips his control device tightly, his face etched with utter disbelief as the unfolding situation defies all his expectations. Meanwhile, out in deep space, a small red ship hovers near a massive gray geometric structure, showing no sign of fleeing the impending danger. Elsewhere, a boxy red arc ship marked with the Bianniator umbrella insignia is plunging at full speed towards a planetary surface, engines blazing a brilliant blue trail. Inside the ship, the cockpit atmosphere is anything but calm. The black-haired pilot looks terrified, while the commander next to her is shouting furiously at his crewmate. His white-haired comrade is in a state of total panic, screaming at the captain that they're all going to die if they keep this suicidal course, and that there's no way to save anyone. But the captain himself remains stubbornly defiant. He claims his lifeline is long, that he's fated to live past 80, and insists their thread of destiny won't be cut short here. At that moment, a devastating blue energy beam lances down from orbit, striking a red armored vehicle on the planet's surface with deadly accuracy. Back on the ship, the technician calmly reports the planet's terrifying data. The core has begun a thermal breakdown, with atmospheric temperatures skyrocketing past 300 degrees. The cockpit crew is thrown into complete despair, now certain their fate is to be roasted alive in the hellish temperatures swiftly approaching. Meanwhile, a faint survivor signal is detected on the surface, offering a tiny sliver of hope. But the situation worsens rapidly as the ground temperature soars to a horrifying 700 degrees. On the surface, the survivor stands calmly within a glowing barrier, arms crossed, watching as the surrounding rocks are shredded and flung about by the intense heat and shockwaves. Our guy appears at the heart of the inferno. His body is wreathed in magma-like heat, his face bearing fresh burn marks, yet his gaze holds a chillingly analytical composure. Standing safely within his protective sphere, he once again gauges the intensity of the destruction, murmuring to himself that this chaotic heat truly resembles the deepest abyssal fires of hell. At that moment, a monstrous figure with massive horns and malevolent orange glowing eyes manifests before him, radiating an overwhelming and fearsome pressure. Facing a monstrous maw, our battered ally finds himself cornered by the shadow of death. Amidst the flames, he sighs bitterly, thinking he might have embraced this end if it had only happened yesterday. But today is different. He has a child in his arms that he's sworn to protect. Driven by that promise, he forces his broken body forward, searching for a sliver of hope among the collapsing ruins. With the escape hatch in sight, he screams for everyone to board. In a flash, the vehicle ignites its thrusters, forcibly breaking away from the doomed facility as it begins to self-destruct. Inside, the base systems coldly broadcast despair, The core is about to detonate, and lethal temperatures are surging. To the officials watching the monitors, survival is mathematically impossible. The craft weaves through flying debris, while Sir-Young desperately hammers at the console. Alarms blare, but the pressurized door is jammed shut due to system failures caused by the extreme external heat. With shields at 10% and the countdown hitting its final seconds, panic sets in. Opening the door now means letting in a heat wave so intense it would turn everyone to ash instantly. As the timer hits 0, the core finally erupts in a violent explosion. A blinding golden light tears through the space with massive force, threatening to end everything in a single flash. As Sir-Young stares in shock, a familiar figure emerges from the smoke. Our boy, Lee Mok-jin, is sitting calmly in the heart of the inferno, his sheer presence taming the raging flames around him. In the cold metal corridor, someone appears to be cradling an exhausted companion, the atmosphere heavy and somber. The scene shifts to a smoke-filled, silent chamber. A figure stands with hands clasped in prayer, while another respectfully kneels nearby, their posture full of anticipation. The kneeling figure speaks in a low voice, expressing the emotion of a long-awaited reunion. He says it's been a long time, and he never expected to see them again. The one praying responds, eyes closed, their tone ethereal, as if speaking of destiny. They say they were meant to meet, even if it took 2,000 years. The setting transforms once more, akin to the depths of a dark cavern. A single candle burns, illuminating the confined space, as the praying figure invites the other to ask their question. Seated in front of the candle, Lee Mok-jin, with a calm detachment, questions the other's certainty that he even has a question to ask. The praying figure explains with a voice that echoes in the chamber. If Lee had no questions, the esteemed version of himself sitting here now would not have sought them out. At this moment, in a similar cavern, Lee Mok-jin sits wearily, bearing the marks of a long journey, a solitary candle casting light on his isolated figure. An unknown voice resonates in his consciousness, speaking of his accumulated fatigue and inner chill. The voice says he treads upon countless corpses, and now even his knees and legs feel the cold. Lee Mok-jin slowly lifts his head, looking directly at the mysterious praying figure in the cave. His question is blunt and crucial. "Do you know me?" The answer comes without hesitation, a simple "no." Yet, a singular eye, filled with an inner light, suggests that even without knowing a name, it is possible to see the essence of things. The story takes us back to our boy's childhood. Before he could even walk, he was forced into a cruel game of fate, choosing between a peaceful life represented by an apple and a path of blood symbolized by a dagger. The apple is crushed into pieces, signaling the end of any hope for a normal life. Under the shadow of a figure marked with the word demon, the young boy has no choice but to crawl toward his grim destiny. Forced by fate, our boy finally reaches out and grips the cold dagger. From that moment on, his right to a peaceful life is stripped away, and his hands are bound to the path of the blade. Years pass, and that child grows into a powerhouse standing atop a mountain of wreckage. With a single sword, our boy wanders through ruins and fallen banners, forced to sustain his soul not with food, but with death and slaughter. Through countless life and death battles, our boy's gaze shifts from intense fury to a hollow emptiness. Even reaching the peak of martial arts can't fill the void left by a life drenched in blood. A scarred planet reflects in his eye, echoing a harsh truth. Even conquering worlds couldn't satisfy his mysterious hunger. Our boy has been searching, yet the ultimate answer remains out of reach. Now, in a dim cave, our boy sits shirtless in deep meditation opposite a monk. He admits he possesses the power to wipe out thousands in an instant, yet the true purpose of his existence seems lost in the long years of slaughter. As the candle flickers and wax drips, a painful truth emerges. Blood was never the nourishment he needed. No matter how many foes he cuts down, the hunger only grows sharper. Where will our boy's path lead him next? In the depths of his memories, a mysterious monk faces our boy. He explains that even if his aimless life has become a burden, no one else can end it for him. Only his own choice can bring the finality he seeks. Faced with the suggestion of death, our boy laments that his life has never truly belonged to himself. Seeing his internal struggle, the monk decides to offer him a way out of this endless cycle. The monk proposes sending our boy to a place between life and death, a deep slumber from which he may never wake. But if fate allows him to open his eyes again, a new path might finally reveal itself. Suddenly, flames engulf the lab, marking a reunion across 2 millennia. That same voice echoes once more, noting that the dullness in our boy's eyes has been replaced by a newfound vitality and a different path. Yet, our boy is spiraling into self-doubt. With the celestial demon sect transformed and moving into the light, his original purpose has vanished. If he isn't living for his old mission anymore, why is he even here? Alarms blare as the temperature hits 4,000 degrees. Amidst the metal-melting heat, the voice tempts him again. Stop fighting and embrace the flames, and he can finally turn to ash and find eternal peace. Death is within reach as the shields fail. At the brink of destruction, will our boy succumb to the temptation of nothingness, or will he strike back against fate once more from within the inferno? Under the vast starry sky, the atmosphere grows heavy. As a mysterious silhouette looms, our companion is brought to her knees by a surge of energy, her resolve tested by a voice demanding she give up. To the figure in the hood, death is the ultimate end that erases all promises. He mocks the struggle, claiming that in the face of the infinite universe, we are less than mere specks of dust. However, intense flames begin to erupt as a defiant answer takes shape. Even if death is inevitable, and their names remain unknown, the instinct to protect drives them to fight until the very end. The flames grow fiercer as our boy realizes that even if he burns to nothing, he must try until the end. Death doesn't define life. Only living without purpose makes an existence truly meaningless. In this moment, the mystery of life and death is unraveled. As long as a life leaves behind meaningful memories, it transcends death. Even a speck of dust can leave an eternal mark on the void. With his spirit finally transcending, he steps into the legendary realm of eternity. Powerful light beams intersect in the void, signaling an awakening that will change the fate of the entire galaxy. Deep in space, ancient structures hum in resonance, welcoming the return of a legend who conquered death. The heavenly demon's journey is far from over, and the next clash promises to be even more explosive. In the deep reaches of space, a massive explosion erupts next to a mechanical structure, sending debris flying. A twin-tailed girl watches the chaos unfold, her expression tense as things spiral out of control. With a low rumble, a massive energy vortex tears through space, its radiant light piercing the darkness. Following a quick command, the mechanical structure below maneuvers to withstand the impending shockwave. Standing by the window, a mysterious red-haired figure watches in shock as the sky turns into a sea of fire. The energy core collapses and explodes repeatedly, threatening to rip the entire structure apart. Amidst the chaos, a crimson mechanical vessel pushes through the turbulent smoke. Leaving a brilliant energy trail behind, it carves a path through the stars, climbing rapidly toward its destination. As the ship pierces through thick clouds, a blinding golden light appears ahead. Everyone stares at the monitors in silence, feeling an overwhelming pressure that seems to stop their very breath. Peering through the observation window, our boy watches the interior closely. Suddenly, a brilliant flash erupts from within the cabin, the explosion's glare swallowing everything and signaling a dire situation. Amidst the swirling energy, our boy's iconic white hair flutters wildly. Shirtless and resolute, he cradles his unconscious companion in his arms, his commanding presence standing firm even among the surrounding wreckage. Our boy looks up, his gaze cold and certain, as if everything is under control. The red capsule, now open, floats silently beneath the starlit sky, waiting for whatever comes next in their journey. Following a massive impact, the ship is in total shambles. Sunja is panicking over the damage. Report shields are down, the engine is dead, and worst of all, the crew is completely broke. In the ship's corridor, Young and Robert look equally stressed. As they struggle to process the chaos, a strange pixelated glitch begins to spread through the ship's systems. Government agent Athena's son bursts in, screaming for answers. But in the middle of her fury, our boy is just sitting there, completely unfazed and busy devouring a massive mountain of sausages. Stunned by this sausage-eating mystery man, Athena runs a quick scan. To her shock, the database has no record of him, and she can't even detect a standard internal energy motor. Facing Athena's aggressive interrogation, our boy finally stops eating. As he slowly looks up, his ancient, overwhelming presence fills the room, making the air feel heavy and cold. The moment Athena meets those terrifyingly deep eyes, she feels her soul laid bare. Under his immense mental pressure, the usually sharp agent is paralyzed with pure, instinctive dread. Then something bizarre happens. Under the weight of his gaze, Athena starts rambling uncontrollably, spilling everything from her job title to her embarrassing dating history. Under our boy's overwhelming pressure, the agent Athena finally breaks, confessing that the orbital bombardment was a desperate attempt to bury the secrets of the project. Athena is losing her mind over why she's spilling confidential intel so easily, but our boy remains unimpressed, coldly stating he has zero interest in her government secrets. Seryung demands accountability for the explosion's damage, and with our boy looming over her, the proud agent has no choice but to begrudgingly agree to fix the mess. The team springs into action to treat the casualties. As the medical scanners finish their work, they confirm the victims are merely unconscious and escaped any permanent harm. Relieved to hear everyone is safe, our boy finally relaxes his expression, while Athena is still spiraling, desperate to figure out who this terrifying man actually is. Seryung takes the opportunity to tease the high-ranking agent about her prestige and youth, making the usually composed Athena look completely flustered and out of her depth. Driven to the edge, Athena snaps and starts screaming threats, warning the crew that if a single word of this embarrassing encounter leaks out, they will regret it. Tensions are running high in the cabin as Seryung argues with the crew. Even the usually composed Sunja looks completely rattled by the current situation. Looking out the window, a mysterious glowing cube floats amidst the space debris. Surveying the wreckage, Sunja can't help but wonder what on earth just happened. Despite the confusion, Robert is more thrilled about their survival. He loudly announces the good news. The ship isn't just fixed, it's been upgraded with the latest tech. Seryung isn't exactly feeling the new aesthetic. She bluntly points out that the look gives off major wannabe thug vibes, and surprisingly, the others agree. The conversation shifts as the scene takes a turn. In a quiet, clinical space, someone steps through a mysterious liquid to receive a sharp haircut for their silver locks. As the hair falls, a mysterious figure with a prosthetic limb is revealed. Meanwhile, deep in space, the massive base of the heavenly demon sect's 32nd district looms ominously. This massive spherical base beats like a metal heart among the stars. New conspiracies are brewing here, as the return of our boy has clearly put this faction on high alert. In District 32, Commander Jong Ritak listens to a startling report with a heavy expression. Learning that the man from the ancient tomb is named Lee Mok Jin and shares ties with the heavenly demon sect leaves him visibly shaken. Unable to believe his ears, Jong Ritak presses for more details. However, hearing it confirmed that our boy calls himself the heavenly demon supreme leaves the commander in a stunned, heavy silence. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Jong Ritak contacts headquarters to request data access. He needs to verify if records show a master sealing himself in the Mount Tai star system 2 millennia ago. As the investigation deepens, Ritak officially reports Lee Mok Jin's information to HQ. The revelation of this ancient secret sends shockwaves through those in the know, signaling the return of a forgotten era. As the news causes an uproar in the command center, the scene shifts to the distant Manhwa star system. There, an elder reflects with deep guilt, ashamed that he failed to sense his daughter's recent peril. Fortunately, a thorough examination shows the girl is unharmed. Though she has no memory of the trauma, she calmly brews Manhwa's specialty tea in the kitchen, offering a small bit of peace to her family. As the steam rises from the freshly poured tea, a temporary peace settles over the home. Yet, with our boy's return now official, the balance of the entire intergalactic martial world has been shattered forever. A mysterious woman in black carefully prepares plum blossom tea, intending to serve her esteemed guests personally as a sign of deep respect. Suddenly, the petals in the cup shatter into pieces. Sensing something overwhelming, the woman looks up in pure shock as the atmosphere shifts around her. Surrounded by drifting fragments of pink petals, her expression is one of utter disbelief, as if she has just felt a presence far beyond all logic. Elsewhere, the Huashan elder confers with our boy. He promises that Mount Hua will remain silent about the incident, though his heart is heavy with both gratitude and shame. Our boy reassures him, explaining that bowing one's head for the safety of a child is a duty, not a shame, a perspective that deeply moves the aging leader. Looking up at the night sky, the elder finally realizes that our boy's power is of a magnitude he can barely fathom. They agree to part ways as dawn breaks. As our boy walks away into the night, the elder bows deeply in respect. Back at the rendezvous, Sahi is waiting, watching him return from the shadows. Late at night, Seryung sits alone in her room, gazing at the stars with a heavy heart. As the sole survivor of the Tang clan, the weight of her past never truly leaves her. Just then, our boy shows up unannounced. He stands there asking if he can enter, prompting Seryung to snap that he should have asked before opening the door. He simply replies that it opened itself, and now he doesn't know how to close it. The two move to the rooftop, sitting side by side under the glow of the twin moons. Seryung wonders why this ancient powerhouse, who usually only cares about hot dogs, decided to visit her so late. Our boy doesn't beat around the bush, asking directly about the fate of the Sichuan Tang clan. Seryung's expression darkens as she hollowly admits that the clan is gone, everyone is dead except for her. The conversation turns heavy as our boy asks if she's seeking revenge. Before she can answer, he bluntly calls revenge a worthless endeavor, but then quickly adds that if she wishes to pursue it, he will help her. Se-ryung is confused. If it's worthless, why help? Our boy turns to her, his voice uncharacteristically gentle, and tells her, because your life holds value. As the night breeze sweeps over the glowing city, our boy's words resonate with Se-ryung. He wants her to settle the score once and for all, so she can finally begin a new life of her own. While Se-ryung hesitates about their bond, our boy keeps it real. For someone who slept for 2 millennia, this crew is the only anchor he has in this strange new world. As the ship glides over ancient rooftops, our boy recalls Tang Chun was the only man who called him friend ages ago. He's determined to honor that debt by protecting Se-ryung. Se-ryung thinks a 2,000-year-old debt is absurd, but our boy understands the weight of revenge. Even if it pierces his own heart, he's ready to be the blade she needs. Just as things get emotional under the twin moons, Se-ryung breaks the mood with a very practical request. Help me make some serious cash. Survival always comes first. Chasing that paycheck, the crew arrives at planet Tortuga in the Andromeda Nebula. It's a gritty, lawless hub where the air is thick with mystery and danger. Stepping into this den of sin where anything is for sale, our boy notices the streets are eerily quiet. Apparently, the locals avoid daytime strolls to skip the risk of eye contact. And what if they do? Our boy asks innocently. It seems the rules of the black market are quite peculiar, and trouble might be waiting just around the corner. Amidst the falling snow, these decaying slums feel deadly. Any sign of weakness here is a death sentence. As our boy follows Se-ryung through the narrow streets, he wonders why they're out in broad daylight. Se-ryung's plan is simple. They're looking for someone bold enough to walk under the sun. Suddenly, a surge of energy rips through the air. 3 figures block their path, and the purple-haired leader looks absolutely stunned to see Se-ryung. She can't believe Se-ryung actually had the nerve to show her face. It's like she's asking for a death wish. Instead of backing down, Se-ryung doubles down with a low blow, mocking the girl's lack of height growth over the past 7 years. As the girl draws her sword in a rage, Se-ryung casually tells our boy they're best friends. Looking at the tension, our boy is seriously skeptical about that claim. The truth finally comes out. Se-ryung borrowed the girl's family heirloom manual and immediately sold it. That's how she got her fiery devil nickname, and even her ship. Our boy is left speechless. Selling a friend's family treasure to buy a ride is a whole new level of bold. Hearing her family's manual was sold, the girl completely snaps and lunges forward. Se-ryung tries to bargain with a tenfold repayment, but for a martial clan, honor is priceless. Enveloped in a blue aura, the girl demands something of equal value. Looks like Se-ryung isn't getting out of this without a fight. Out of nowhere, a companion wraps her arms around our boy from behind. This sudden burst of affection leaves the legendary master looking completely baffled and lost for words. So he brings up a deal about making money, shifting the mood instantly. Under everyone's gaze, our boy stays quiet, still trying to process the chaotic energy surrounding him. The group moves through a damp, narrow alleyway into a grand stone corridor. Torches flicker along the path as they head deeper into the heart of this mysterious structure. Staring up at the massive stone pillars and towering arches, our boy finally asks the question on his mind. What exactly is this place that feels so incredibly imposing? Se-ryung calmly reveals the truth. They've entered the headquarters of the Triads, one of the major factions ruling Tortuga. Even more shocking, her father is the leader here. When our boy asks how he fits into the plan, the answer is wild. Apparently, he's going to be put up for sale as a high-value asset to fetch a massive price. The Triad leader finally appears, cold and imposing. He accuses Se-ryung of betrayal and theft, declaring that the only price for her crimes is death. Facing a death sentence, Se-ryung doesn't flinch. She insists she only borrowed the treasure and claims she's back now to settle the debt once and for all. The boss makes it clear that returning the manual isn't enough. Interest is still due. Desperate, Se-ryung clings to our boy, promising that she'll take full responsibility and cover those extra costs herself. While the subordinates are itchy to draw blood, the leader decides to hear what Se-ryung has to say. But the blue-haired girl is a real hothead, losing her cool and even shouting at her own father on the high throne. The girl fumes, warning that letting Se-ryung escape again would be an absolute disappointment. But for the leader, the law is absolute. If she can't settle her debt, death is the only inevitable outcome. Se-ryung tries to keep her cool, telling our boy not to worry while fishing for info on old legends. He simply shrugs it off, noting that if he doesn't recognize a name, they were likely just some low-tier nobody back in his day. To de-escalate the situation, Seryung urges our boy to show off some martial arts. However, her greedy instincts kick in. She's terrified he'll show off something too valuable, so she insists he just uses any random move. She gets frantic, specifying it must be his absolute weakest, least impressive technique, just enough to cover the debt. Seeing her so worked up, our boy has no choice but to go along with it. Slowly, our boy clenches his fist. A faint but deep red light begins to glow from his palm, and the very air seems to thicken as he gathers his inner strength, drawing every eye in the room to his next move. As everyone holds their breath for a grand display, our boy simply presses his glowing fist against Seryung's mouth with a straight face. This bizarre move leaves everyone stunned, and even Seryung is left wondering, wait, is this actually a technique? Our boy is dead serious as he introduces the supreme punch he mastered at age 1. However, the eye-patched guy isn't buying it, calling the technique far too weak for his taste. Facing skepticism, our boy explains that while the move lacks defense, its raw offensive power is unmatched. Intrigued, Seryung tells him to stop talking and show them how it's done. The tension in the hall is palpable as the elder watches from his throne. Meanwhile, the eye-patched man remains suspicious, demanding to know what kind of scheme Seryung is plotting. With the elder's permission, a massive mechanical core begins to hum to life. Our boy gazes ahead with intense focus, signaling that this demonstration is about to get very serious. As our boy concentrates his energy, his fist begins to glow with a blinding light. The sheer pressure of his aura forces his companions to hold their breath in anticipation of his true power. A massive sphere of energy manifests above them, and the eye-patched man finally realizes how wrong he was. It wasn't the technique that was weak, his own understanding of power was simply lacking. Back on planet Tortuga, Seryung recounts an unbelievable tale to a stern elder. She discovered an ancient warrior, our boy, who had been sealed away for 2,000 years. Despite the elder's shock, Seryung remains calm. After all, the legend of transcending millennia through secluded cultivation is standing right in front of them, and the legend is only just beginning. Seryung is bragging about how our boy is essentially a walking library. She realizes that if they can transcribe his ancient martial arts into secret manuals, they'll be sitting on a literal gold mine. Meanwhile, in the neon-lit streets of Tortuga, a mysterious hooded figure approaches a shop. The sheer pressure radiating from him causes the bustling city atmosphere to turn ice-cold. The figure calmly asks when the shop opens. Seeing the shopkeeper trembling, he offers some kind advice. Just relax and talk to him as if he were a deceased grandparent. The shopkeeper takes this as a direct insult and assumes the stranger is looking for trouble. His hand inches toward a hidden weapon, completely unaware of the monster he's facing. Losing his temper, the shopkeeper launches a surprise attack. But in a flash, our boy vanishes and reappears right in his face, making the lethal strike look like slow motion. Our boy effortlessly takes control, casually asking his question again while holding the blade. Faced with such overwhelming power, the shopkeeper finally realizes he's staring death in the eye. The shopkeeper screams in a final act of desperation. But as a mysterious green light flares, our boy calmly raises his hand, ready to end this farce once and for all. Amidst a piercing scream, the treatment inside the green barrier reaches its peak. It looks like our boy had to put in some serious work to stabilize the situation. Back inside, our boy enjoys a meal while calmly advising his patient. He's mended the bones and meridians, but warns him to take it easy with his energy circulation for a while. Just then, Bexahi wanders in and takes a bite, only to immediately spit it out in disgust. She screams that even boiling dumb water would taste better than this cooking. Sahi delivers an invitation from her father, and though our boy thinks the old man should have come himself, he eventually agrees to the meeting after hearing her out. On the way, Sahi tries her luck by asking if there's a secret martial art that can restart her growth plates. Our boy doesn't even look back as he delivers a cold no. The two head deep into a dark, stone corridor toward their destination. In this treacherous interstellar world, the real challenge is only just beginning. Sahi asks for a way to grow taller, but our boy gives a deep lecture on how the body is a legacy that shouldn't be forced against its nature. However, he mentions a technique that can temporarily change one's appearance. Hearing this, Sahi is completely blown away and begs him to teach her. Although our boy asks why he should bother, Sahi's sincere offer to be his guide and her humble attitude quickly convince him to share his knowledge. While walking, our boy suddenly describes a long, curved meat snack. so he quickly realizes he's talking about a hot dog and promises to get him one. To satisfy our boy's cravings and secure her training, so he enthusiastically vows to provide the best hot dogs, ready to do whatever it takes. Back at the hideout, so he introduces her savior to her family. Despite the curious atmosphere, our boy remains his usual stoic self. Before long, our boy is happily munching on hot dogs. He casually dismisses the idea of being a master, treating the martial arts exchange as a fair trade. Inside the solemn stone hall, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Faced with scrutinizing stares, our boy makes himself right at home, casually feasting without a care in the world. Watching him chow down like this, who would have guessed he's an ancient legend who was sealed for 2,000 years? The triad leader across from him is clearly shaken by the revelation. After witnessing our boy's world-shattering power, the leader has to admit that ancient martial arts far surpass modern tech. Since he can't beat him, he's ready to talk business to get those manuals. Just then, so he leans in and starts calling him master, catching our boy completely off guard. Despite his firm denials, she's fully committed to the bit, and the title seems to be sticking. The leader tries to leverage Seryong's past theft to trick our boy into surrendering his techniques. But Seryong isn't having it. She steps in, declaring that his measly offer wouldn't even cover the interest. Seryong goes for the throat, demanding a military-grade core-level internal energy drive. The request sends the leader into a cold sweat. After all, such a treasure is a once-in-a-century find. Despite the leader's frantic and near-desperate refusal, Seryong remains perfectly composed. It's a high-stakes psychological game, and our team clearly has the upper hand in this negotiation. The black market middleman Wang holds up 5 fingers, boasting that he can easily list 5 basic martial arts just like the ones our boy showed earlier. Unfazed by this challenge, our boy's expression remains calm as he states that even 5 of those ordinary martial arts are nothing special. Not backing down, Wang immediately ups the number to 10, slamming the table for emphasis. He states that real valuable martial arts manuals must meticulously detail every movement, form, and energy path, clear enough for beginners to follow. Faced with these demanding criteria, Seryong skeptically asks if our guy can even manage that. His reply is surprisingly simple. Easy. Go get some paper and a brush. Under everyone's skeptical eyes, he proceeds to brush a martial art manual on the spot. The scroll shows stick figure diagrams, and the core instructions are surprisingly brief, revolving around breathing and concentrating energy. After reading the finished manual, Wang's face freezes in disbelief, and he blurts out, "What is this?" Even the nearby technical expert scans the scroll with his device, but is equally baffled. Somehow, it feels more like a failure than a proper technique manual. As the awkward moment stretches, the sounds of sizzling oil come from the kitchen. Sunja has already started calmly frying hot dogs for everyone. Ever the pragmatist, our boy grabs a hot dog and casually adds while eating that these manuals aren't even worth the cost of the paper, and are more like exercise routines than martial arts secrets. This makes Seryong a bit anxious. She urges him to step up his game, demanding something truly high-level and secret. Yet our boy, unfazed and still chewing his hot dog, drops a bombshell that could shatter every martial artist's worldview. He states that at their peak, all martial arts are equal. Different forms aren't meant to be ranked, and secret techniques are just methods of practice. In the end, in a dimly lit research room, an elderly man, with a sophisticated mechanical device over his right eye meticulously examines ancient martial arts scrolls. He claims the techniques he's passing down are not only easy to learn, but reach the same ultimate heights as other profound styles. Meanwhile, in a semi-open stone hall, our boy is happily enjoying his hot dog. Seryong, sitting across from him with crossed arms and a serious expression, is discussing business, suggesting that a technique from the Heavenly Demon sect would be far more valuable than common Shaolin or Wudong styles. The mysterious elder, however, rejects Seryong's idea. He cannot teach martial arts that already have an owner, as it violates martial world etiquette. His insistence on ancient martial arts copyright leaves Seryong's companion visibly puzzled. Instead, the elder instructs the companion to stop cooking hot dogs, change into proper martial attire, and return. He promises to first teach a technique called the reverse body transformation, his tone suggesting the lessons to come are far from ordinary. Elsewhere, at the Triad Society's base, Seryong presents their offering 10 ancient martial arts techniques to a gray-haired leader seated high above. The leader's reaction is odd. He holds a long staff in front of his face and mutters gloomily, "We are really doomed." Faced with the leader stubbornly blocking his face with the staff, Seryong falls silent, exasperated. Yet she still insists there must be some value in these ancient techniques. The gray-haired leader finally shows a hint of a smile. He explains the value lies not in raw power, but in these techniques being unheard of, unseen wonders, unlikely to be witnessed again in a lifetime. This cryptic statement makes a companion nearby doubt if Seryong can truly persuade their key asset to aid the triads. Facing the doubt, Seryong confidently spreads her arms, declaring their bond with the key person is inseparable, even claiming, "He won't eat without me." To seal the deal, she boldly adds that a core-level drive must be included as a bonus. Just as Seryong negotiates with confidence, a figure emerges from the shadows into the central light of a grand stone hall. Hooded, with glowing red eyes and a crimson dagger in hand, he calmly states the promise. "I can give it." Beneath the neon lights of the futuristic city, a secret meeting unfolds in a dark stone hall. The girl's expression turns grave as the conversation shifts to a legendary power, the core-level drive. Our team confronts a stern elder who admits that a secret this big is impossible to hide. As one of the 3 legendary treasures of the martial world, its mere existence is a massive threat. The elder explains that the drive is rare not just for its complexity, but because the resources required are so vast that even a grand sect would have to stake its entire future on it. Furthermore, it's like a nuclear weapon from the old era. Development must be strictly regulated. Attempting to build one in secret is a death sentence, making you an enemy of the entire martial world. Approaching a massive set of doors, the girl asks how such a taboo object was created. To her shock, the elder reveals an incredible truth. They didn't build it simply rolled in on its own. As the doors swing open, they reveal a massive, bottomless shaft. Deep within the darkness, a mysterious teal light flickers, the ultimate core capable of overturning the fate of the galaxy. As we look closer, the glowing energy illuminates the rough walls of the pit. Though it's right there, the sheer pressure is chilling. The secret behind this nuke may be far deadlier than anyone imagined. Surrounded by a swirling vortex of blue energy, a mysterious armored figure sits in meditation. The sheer pressure radiating from him feels like a titan awakening from a long slumber. Last winter, an interstellar escape pod streaked across the sky and slammed into the heart of Tortuga's slums, carving a massive crater into the dense urban landscape. As the smoke cleared, the man they call a monster appeared in the center of the ruins. Even in total stillness, the energy leaking from him warned of his lethal nature. Every faction in Tortuga tried to hunt him down, only to suffer devastating losses. Witnesses recall with terror that anyone who dared to approach him that day met a swift end. After paying a heavy price, people finally realized the horror of this master. The source of his world-shaking power was revealed to be a rare, core-level energy drive. The group falls silent, staring at the faint glow in the abyss. This man is a ticking time bomb, and the allure of that core-level drive is drawing greedy eyes from every corner. Deep in the black market, Seryong and Sehi were discussing the situation. Behind her mask, Sehi voiced her concerns. Rumors of the core-level drive had already spread, and every powerful entity in the universe would soon be making their move. Meanwhile, in a different stone chamber, an unidentified man was also talking about the core drive. He provocatively dared someone to go get it themselves, gesturing towards a vast, pitch-black, and terrifyingly deep chasm before him. The scene then violently shifted to a chaotic chorus of panicked shouts. Multiple voices desperately called out for "Teacher, Grimoire!" and "Master!" as if a multitude of people were frantically searching for the same individual. Later, the focus returned to our girl, Seryong. For a moment, the cosmos seemed to swirl in her eyes, as the title of this arc was unveiled, Cosmic Heavenly Demon 3077. Inside a vast, torchlit stone hall, Seryong stood alone and alert. Behind her, a familiar yet transformed silver-haired figure stood with her back turned, creating a subtle and tense silence. Seryong finally broke the silence. She turned her head and spoke with a tone mixing nostalgia and gentle teasing. "Sehi, are you still mad at me? Why didn't you even say hello?" Hearing this, Sehi instantly sprang into action. Moving with lightning speed, she whipped around and closed the distance between them, demanding in surprise, "How did you know it was me?" Seryong remained composed. Gazing at her drastically altered friend, she slowly replied, "Of course I recognized you. It doesn't matter how much you've changed, even this much. Close friends like you and me can always recognize each other." But Sehi's confidence seemed shaken. Still facing away, her voice carried a hint of uncertainty. Is that true? Have I changed so much that if I changed just a little more, you'd never recognize me, right? Seryung nodded seriously, her expression turning a bit wry. For sure I would. But it seems you've changed, a little, drastically. Her gaze meaningfully swept over her friend's dramatically enhanced curves. So he instantly panicked, her face flushing red as she loudly protested, "No. It's just that my body grew suddenly, and my clothes got too short." The black-haired woman calmly acknowledges the purple-haired man's difficult return. Nearby, the silver-haired woman with an eye patch explains in surprise that her current power level is merely introductory, and only by reaching a higher stage can she maintain this state longer. The black-haired woman first congratulated him, then immediately shifted, questioning the whereabouts of his master, which made the purple-haired man slightly surprised. The black-haired woman then assigned him a task that seemed simple yet held a hidden mystery: retrieve a central-level drive from the person deep inside the glowing pit before them. And if the person refused? The black-haired woman casually suggested, just punch him into submission. The purple-haired man mused if this drive was like a rare item imbued with powerful internal energy, and the black-haired woman implicitly confirmed it. Upon hearing this, the purple-haired man unexpectedly offered to simply share his own internal energy instead of her risking for the object, leaving the black-haired woman momentarily stunned. The scene shifts to reveal a panoramic night view of a futuristic city, where neon-lit skyscrapers and advanced technological structures in the foreground paint a magnificent picture of this sci-fi world. Facing her hesitation, the purple-haired man pressed on, asking why she refused his offer of internal energy, especially if her goal was to get stronger for revenge. However, the black-haired woman firmly refused him, stating her determination to achieve her revenge solely through her own strength. The purple-haired man found her persistence contradictory given the current situation. Meanwhile, two other male companions couldn't help but joke, admitting that trying to rationally interpret their captain's logic would overload even their genius brains. Robert is busy gaming, while complaining that Seryung prefers stealing over borrowing money just to keep her conscience clear. Seryung fires back, claiming stealing is a hard-won victory, while borrowing is just a lazy handout. Watching them argue, our boy is just lost in his hot dog, completely baffled by their logic. Seryung tells him to stop overthinking and just enjoy the snack, and honestly, our guy is happy to oblige. As night falls, the Triad leader receives word that a rival faction has deployed a legendary warrior. To prepare for the coming storm, he orders his top masters to go into hiding and wait for the perfect moment. The leader knows when to play his cards. He orders the restrictions on the Forbidden Zone lifted to lure out more flies. If the world is going to burn, he'd rather watch from the sidelines until it's time to strike. While the Triad plots, a strange monk with a golden cage on his head appears. Despite his bizarre look, his status is immense, forcing even high-level cyborgs to serve him tea in a heavy, suffocating atmosphere. This monk preaches mercy but exudes pure malice, unleashing a terrifying aura on the servant for a minor glance. As energy surges, it's clear that the power games on Tortuga are becoming far more lethal and unhinged. Facing this sudden pressure, everyone present is terrified. The cage-headed figure claims serving him is an ultimate honor, threatening hell upon any who defy him. In this lawless land, the real storm is just beginning. The scene shifts to a deep space where energy surges around a figure in a golden headpiece. Beside him, a bald man with a mechanical eye watches intently, murmuring about a prajna cycle, signaling the start of a dangerous ritual. Suddenly, a brilliant explosion of light erupts, its overwhelming pressure leaving the onlookers stunned. They gasp, wondering if this is the legendary Asura Buddha. With an icy glare, our boy warns his enemies that hell awaits if they don't back down. The camera zooms in on several elusive figures moving in the shadows. Soon, our boy is seen sitting at a table in humble monk robes, seemingly seeking guidance about the Blackwater faction, though his natural dominance is impossible to hide. While the thuds across the table keep up appearances, the air freezes when our boy asks if they have a death wish. Faced with such a blunt threat, the group quickly raises their arms in surrender, proving they know when they're outmatched. The focus shifts to an eerie underground pit hiding a dark secret. Before anyone can react, a massive metallic container slams into the bottom with a deafening crash, its impact shattering the floor and sending sparks flying everywhere. At the bottom of the pit, the figure in the golden headpiece endures a relentless bombardment of energy from above, surrounded by glowing red blades. Watching from the shadows is a mysterious armored figure in a pointed mask, his motive still unknown. As the battle peaks, a spear locks onto our boy, who sits amidst a vortex of blue energy tearing through space. But he's far from his limit as his energy level surged to 8.9. He fully unleashes his quantum cycle drive. The atmosphere on the battlefield shifts as a core-level energy begins to surge. Even the mysterious enemy can't help but marvel at this power, which clearly exceeds everyone's expectations. With a fierce shout, a glowing blade slashes down in an attempt to seize control. Amidst the chaos, a straw-hatted figure looks up, revealing a chilling spiral red eye that radiates killing intent. While a massive beam of golden light erupts from the city, leaving his allies on high alert, our boy is casually snacking on hot dogs. Apparently, a world-shaking event is no match for a good meal. In the face of this world-piercing phenomenon, both armored warriors and stoic monks are forced to stop and watch. Everyone is looking up. It seems the balance of power is about to change forever.